Tribute? Say something.
You want me to say something? Fine. I'll say something. You people. You're not a race. You are a virus. You destroy the world. Everything beautiful you poison. You drag us from our homes. You rape our daughters, murder our sons. You crack our spines and do all you can to break our will. You stab us. Then you put the knife in our hand and tell us it's our fault. And if you don't do it yourself, you stand by, close your eyes, and pretend there's nothing wrong. And then you pray to your God to silence our screams so that you can enjoy the happiness that we built for you with our blood. But it's not your fault. It's the only way you know how to be. And the only thing that will change anything is if another virus comes along and does to you what you do to us. And I hope that happens very soon.
Well, this evening obviously hasn't gone as I'd hoped. And I think I'm having a full-on panic attack right now, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom and get myself together, and when I come back, I hope you don't see me as the devil.
Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got my why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got my why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life. Run up when you see me, no disguises. Keep that thing with me, cause I don't do surprises. J. Chanel, show and tell, all facts, no lies, streak. Get your life, cause I'm the type to come to it that 9 quick. Eyes on me, what you care for? Watching me, baby, care for. If you ain't a fan, where the cameras? Hide in the back with the bellboys. My circle so restricted. Hands raised like it's your religion. When I sleep, pay close attention. Fake friends out here pretending. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got my why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got my why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life.
Focus there.
Watch them cause they after me like a pot of gold. I'm not for play, ask Keisha if you don't know. I'm a little bit cray-cray, approach me, you better be right. If you don't come correctly, you can catch these cans tonight. Eyes on me, what you care for? Watching me, baby, care for. If you ain't a fan, why the cameras? Hide in the back with the bellboys. My circle's so restricted. Hands raised like it's your religion. When I sleep, pay close attention. Fake friends out here pretending. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got my why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life.
Get your life.
Good morning, good evening, good night, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your nighttime, right time, DJ Music, and welcome to another episode of the Chop Shop. Let me slide over here to the listening lounge right quick, like, and say hello. And y'all give me a one or a two there. Hey, Candy Cane Lane, how you doing there? L Boogie, great to see both of you. Give me a one or a two if your ladies that can hear me. Hey, Sandy, how you doing? Great to see you. Welcome in. Welcome. Great. Have a great day. Y'all ladies that give me a one or a two if y'all can hear me loud and clear down there before I get started here. Make sure we all good here. I think I'm good to go. Well, it's gonna be a little touchy subject here today there, folks. See what's on the screen, American black and white. I'm not gonna use no disclaimer. I'll just say this: hit dogs holler. Hit dogs holler. That's all I'm gonna say. All right. If anything I'm about to say offends you as my palm-colored brethren, then I'm talking to you. If it doesn't affect you, then I'm not talking to you. But as you can see, look at the screen. This on the left side, you see all the way back to the 1960s. There were some of my palm-colored brethren didn't want us, folks that look like me, to go to school with their children. Now look on the right-hand side of the screen. You see an iconic photo. I don't think people realize the significance of this particular photo that we're looking at. The young black female surrounded by folks back in the day. Because remember the young lady that tried to go to school and the hordes of people that was outside screaming at her because her parents wanted her to have an education, part of the American dream. Let me turn this background down just a little bit more. Feels like I don't want to be screaming. But anyway, it's Thursday afternoon, 7/9/05. I remember some time ago, this particular day has a significance to me. It's when I signed up to become a Marine, not knowing the history of what I was signing up for. So I'll start there. The history of the Marine Corps, the few, the proud, the Marines. Some friends of mine that we hold that moniker dearly, not understanding that the moniker was never meant for men of color. It was only meant for them. So much so that the first black man to be in, this is the problem that I'm having. Hold on just a second. Let me put this phone on mute here. Folks always want to call you at the wrong damn time of the day. This is, look. Don't call me when I'm working. I know you can't see it, but I got a message for you. No, you got to come to the lounge to get that one. But anyway, folks, sorry for the interruption there right quick. Let me go ahead and set this phone so I don't get disturbed anymore. Just 1 second. There we go. Now, back to what I was saying. Moffett Point. I don't think too many people know the historical significance of that as far as being in the Marine Corps. But back to historical significance. Throughout the Civil Rights Movement, there were some iconic pictures taken by this folks, Getty. Took all kind of pictures that we now can go back into the archives and look and see what we as black people were facing at this time. So many times I hear these black men saying, forget the past. The past isn't important. Well, on my screen in front of you, this is why I tell you, those who don't know your past is doomed to do the same damn thing. Am I wrong? Look at the screen. Look at the middle part right there, right above Trump, the cult called Trump. All of those were white women that were screaming at a little black child because she wanted to go to school. And they're trying to convince me at the age that I'm not a survivor of the so-called American dream, because I am. Any black man or woman over the age of 50, you are a survivor. of the American, so-called American dream, that every time they say pull yourself up by the bootstraps, what happens? Well, they always pull up Black Wall Street, but there's countless of black places that was just black neighborhoods. Not too far from where I lived, the Savannah River plant. That was a thriving black town at one time or the other. Let's see. I soon figured sooner or later some of you guys would come in here. But see, let me tell you something. Who's this? What's there? Murray Gibson. It's funny how you only come in here with M and not show your face. The coward that you are. The coward that these folks that I'm going to talk about. The coward that Donald Trump is. The shameless amount of ball sucking y'all do to Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, and the rest of the folks like you. Yes, she still is. This is what I'm talking about. This is America. Folks like Murray Gibson. This is America, whether y'all want to believe it or not. And I'm going to show you proof positive all the way from yesterday to today. We're going to start off with a few things. Let's start with this picture here. Since folks don't, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Let me show you a picture. That should be worth 1,000 words to you. Now, for all of us that are you're in your early 50s and maybe middle 60s, all the way up until your early to late early 50s, you should remember this guy. Y'all remember him? George Wallace. Look what's behind him. This was a seated member. And look at what he says. Today I have stood where Jefferson Davis, who was Jefferson Davis? But this is who America put in office. And look, and today I have stood where Jefferson Davis stood and took the oath to my people. It's very appropriate. I don't have my glasses on, so if I mess up a few words, y'all excuse me. It's very appropriate then that from this cradle of the Confederacy, let me say that again. From this cradle of the Confederacy, this is very heart of the great Anglo-Saxon Southland, that today we sound the drum for freedom, as have our generations and our forebears before us have done. Time and time again, through history, let us rise to the call of freedom. Let me say it in his voice. Let's rise to the call of freedom. Love and blood that is in us and sends our answers. Would you let your kids play with pelican snot? Yeah, just ad-lib there. But you get what I'm trying to say about George Wallace. These were the folks that was enacting laws back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. George Wallace has now been replaced by Stephen Miller. George Wallace has now been replaced by Donald Trump. George Wallace has now been placed by the turtle. That where is he? Why have we not seen a seated member of Congress active? Y'all know who I'm talking about, the turtle that froze up on the stage a couple of times. For all we know, he could be dead. For all we know, but that's George Wallace. And guess what, folks? At the end of George Wallace's life, when he could do no more harm to black people, brown people, yellow people, red people, guess who ended up taking care of him? Not one of those folks he was standing and said he took the oath for. Not one of them wiped his nasty lily white ass or brought him some food at the end of his life. It was a black man named, I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. But that's who took care of George Wallace at the end of his life. That's who this guy was. And that's why I say sometimes we as black people, we are too fucking forgiving. The only thing George Wallace would have got from me was silence. Absolute positive silence. That's what he would have got from me. Or I would have stood over and watched him suffer as he tried to make us do. Segregation now, segregation today, segregation tomorrow was his moniker. Now, let's do this. Let's start here. Like I said, Stephen Miller is a reincarnation of George Wallace. No, there was the Z Sergeant Schultz. Were you from the Hogan's Heroes? Believe me, sir, you don't really want the answer to that, do you, Sarge? Schultz. You know, Schultz was a pretty dumb motherfucker. Remember that from Hogan Heroes? He was pretty stupid, just like you, pretty stupid. You gets no grace from me today coming in here. You come in here with dumb answers, I'm going to get one back at you. Because unfortunately, the worst thing for folks like you is an educated black man, Schultz. You don't even deserve to be called a sergeant. Schultz. Now, Slick Nick, I'm not sure if the ignorant was meant for me or for the Sarge right there. So till you say something off color to me, I'm going to take it that you were talking to the Sarge. Now, if you were talking directly to me, address me. That way I can address you properly. I told you I came prepared for all good and all bad today. How you give it to me is how I'm going to give it back to you. All right? So without further ado, let's get over here. Let me take this off the screen. There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is DJ Music. Now, let's start here. Like I said, with Stephen Miller. Check him out.
Her strength and her courage. I'm reminded of a famous expression. The storm whispers to the warrior. Okay, since now I know that you're talking to me, Slick Nick, ignorance is not knowing. So who's the real ignorant one? Both of us are ignorant because I don't know you and you don't know me. Now, it's a story because I'm going to call you stupid. I'm going to call you dumb. There is a big difference, isn't it? Ignorance is not knowing. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge until you receive that knowledge. Slick Nick. Now, sit your ignorant ass down and learn something so you won't be ignorant when you leave here. You know it. Here's a little something that need to be heard. I was going downtown. What's that word? Don't fuck with me today. I've had a bad week. And I'm looking for some motherfuckers to take it out on. Like you. Slick Nick. Sergeant Schultz. Wrong guy. Wrong day. I came here to vent against you motherfuckers like you. Now let's get back to one of your, maybe y'all can get comfortable in your little powwow listening to this shithead right here, this shitbird right here, one of the real shadow presidents. Because y'all can't really believe that Donald Trump is the smartest as he think he really is. That you cannot withstand my strength. And the warrior whispers back, I am the storm. Erica is the storm. We are the storm. And our enemies cannot comprehend our strength, our determination, our resolve, our passion. Our lineage and our legacy hails back
to Athens, to Rome, to Philadelphia, to Monticello. Our ancestors built the cities. They produced the art.
Your ancestors built nothing. The only thing your ancestors created was the fucking patent office, his lineage. So you understand why I have the right to call it, because I am not of his lineage. He's actually, if you really look at Stephen Miller, does he look American? Does he look like the average American white dude? No. Look like he escaped out of from Inglorious Bastards. Look like his name should be Claus, not Santa. Heinrich, not Stephen. It's not dog whistles. He's not no recovering cynic. This is not dog whistles. Trump and this last couple of 10 years has emboldened folks to come out of the shadows and say this on live TV in front of millions. If we look at Sandy, you know, that's something to think about. That's something to think about. Can we deport him? So let's let him talk some more. Listen to him.
And architecture. They built the industry. Erica stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of warriors, of women who raised up families, raised up city, raised up industry, raised up civilization, who pulled us out of the caves.
No, we pulled y'all out of the caves. Y'all got y'all history from the Greeks. The Greeks got their history from the Moors. If you know anything about, where's that ignorant motherfucker that was in here earlier? What's his name? What's his name? What's your name there? Slick Rick? Slick Nick? Slick Nick. Did you know that your history came from us? Do you know that the only reason that you're able to read and write and do arithmetic, it came from us or people that look like us? Slick Nick. Did you know that? Hey, Lana, how you doing? Good to see you. Listen, I know folks going to come in here and say, Mr. Music is a little bit hostile today, but I deserve to be. I deserve to be hostile. After what I saw on this so-called 250-year celebration, are we going to get to that? Are we going to get to that? So all of you redneck racists wannabe think I'm scared of you, come on in here and drop your messages and see how quickly I fire on your ass. I don't, who's I'm sorry, Nick, recovering. I'm sorry, bro. If that's your name, bro, I'm sorry, but somebody came in here and how's that? Hijacked your name for the nefarious reasons. So when I say Nick, you know I'm not talking about you, my man. But anyway, folks, if you'll do me a favor, I won't ask you for any donations, but I will ask you if you'll like, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to make a donation to what I'm doing here, please go over to Autism Speaks and search there, or you can just make a donation on behalf of Classic R&B Jams or DJ Stevie Music. So let's get back here.
And the darkness into the light. The light will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil.
By the way, this entire speech is plagiarized. They can't do anything on his own. Black people are so stupid, but you plagiarize a speech from a black man. Nick, Slick Nick. I just call you Slick from now on, so my man don't think I'm talking to him. Hey, Slick. You remember in the movie Heat? Hey, Slick, stop talking. Remember that in the movie Heat? What's up there, Spartaguts? That's the interesting way of spelling that. Okay. What's up there, Brian?
They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create.
Well, damn, ain't that the white hot kettle calling the white hot kettle white? You have done nothing. If you look at the history of America, the only thing that you have done right is killing people. If you look at the history of the Anglo, white, Saxon European that has come over to this country, this is what y'all are good at. Killing people, taking from others, snatching up resources, saying you did this. It started with that cat that came over there, Christopher Columbus, talking about he discovered America. Who went through grade school in the 70s, 80s, and 90s? And they didn't tell you that. That's one of the first things they teach you in grade school, that in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. The motherfucker got lost. And you're lucky he was in the Atlantic instead of the Pacific, because the Pacific has no memory. And see, this again, not patting myself on the back. This is all to all the educated brothers out there. This is what white America is afraid of, us. More so our sisters, because you know why? Because our sisters are more educated than us. Yeah, brothers, if you like it, if you don't like that, too bad. Scratch your ass and get glad, because our sisters are more educated than we are. Proven fact. Call it simping, call it caping, but I call it truth. 86% of black people that have some kind of degree are women. Black women, moreover. What's that? I think 68% of the black business that are created in this country are created by black women. So why do you think they're after them? Why do you think they're after black women in particular? Why do you think Trump has such a vitriol for black women? Because he understands that's the only thing that you can't defeat. You can't defeat the strong will of a black woman. I got into an argument with someone about some time. How would you describe black people as a whole? I said with one word: resilient. As we are. And look at the crowd, folks. Look at the crowd. Look at the amount of people that's cheering this on. So don't anyone ever come up to me and say, this is not America, because it is. This is not a small pocket. This is not a one-off. This is not a one-off. This is in any town USA. Any town USA, pick one. I don't care if it's in the VFW or a stadium that holds 40,000 people. They're not so silent anymore, are they? Recovering.
Nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity.
You are the ones. If you look at the trail of let's start the Trail of Tears. Let's talk about the Crusades. Hey there, ABT. I meant to speak to you earlier. I got caught up in my thing. You know how I do sometimes. I got caught up in it. But look at every place that you have been, Stephen Miller, and folks that look like you. There's a blood stain. There's a blood trail. There's atrocities. You even turned on your own. Such thing called let's go to the Salem witch huts. That all somebody had to do. That was one time black people we really caught a break. That for that little bit of time, because y'all were more focused on killing each other. Salem witch trials. Remember that? All another white person had to do was say, "You're a witch," and they burnt y'all at the stake. Oh, hey, let's go into McCarthyism. Let's go there. The history of you, it tells on itself, and this what the problem is. Y'all as white folks don't want to own up to it. You talking about playing the victim. White America, that's your biggest asset. Y'all quick to play the victim. Like that white man in Florida that walked up on that black woman with that gun, thought he had a right to. Didn't he? One gut shot told him, nope, you won't try that again. Ask me if I have sympathy for him, and it's in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. But as something you got some folks saying that she had no right to defend herself. And this is exactly what Stephen Miller is talking about. This is what y'all were doing in the 50s. This is what y'all was doing in the 60s. This is what y'all was doing in the 70s. This is what y'all was doing in the 80s. This is what y'all was doing in the 90s. This is what y'all doing right now to this day. Right, black, hot, black and proud. This is what you're doing right now. We find young black men and young black women up on trees with ropes, trying to tell us it's suicide. It's because they can't, black and proud, because they can't, because they know they would be contradicting themselves. In order to do a show like I'm doing right now, they would everything about their shows, everything about their podcasts, everything about them would be null and void. They could never do a show like this. Angry Man's motto is "Be No Nation." What the fuck are you going to come over here talking about? I saw him the other day talking about something, trying to jump on the Black Power movement. That's another thing. I'm gonna get to. Nobody's safe today. Let me just say that. Nobody's safe today. Nobody. Sambo soldiers, racists, nobody. I don't know why he's so upset. Cold odds, cold olds. I don't know. If we went back to the beginning of my video, it tells you why. Because that's the only way they know how to be. Here we go again. Here come Papa Bear. I knew somebody, sooner or later, I knew somebody would come in here with that black on black crime shit. I knew you would. Papa Bear, I was just waiting. I know y'all was just waiting at the little keyboard to type that in. How long did you take that to type that in? Or is that a prepared statement that you just click on and it pops in? Because somebody like you will go to every place that's where you hear a black man speak and come in here with that. Well, let me tell you something. The statistics say that although there is we kill each other, black people kill each other, but white folks kill each other too. It's called proximity to. You tend to fuck over who you're next to. You get that, Papa Bear? Now, if you want to go to the real statistics, let's talk about this. It's 83% versus 80%. Now you figure out which one leads the pack. So in that 3% plus or minus, do you think the person that's getting killed gives a damn about what color the person that killed him? It's not like you guys do it only in America either. They don't have murders in Europe. They don't have murders in Poland. They don't have murders in Russia. Predominantly white countries. Is that what you're trying to say, Papa Bear? Wrong guy. I'm educated, sir. And who is you guys? Who is you guys, Papa Bear? Like I said, all you have to do is follow the blood trail, and they're usually around it or somewhere near it. It's a European. You probably believe that old thing that race is really a thing. No, it's a concept to somebody like you, Papa Bear, and Slick Nick brought up. Well, I tell you what, Papa Bear, I'm not going to debate with you on that. If you want the real, just go down to my archives, and I gave you the facts and figures and the numbers to shut you up about that. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going back and forth with idiots. Not today. You picked the wrong day if you thought I was going to be nice. Wrong day.
You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized.
There it is. He says that. I'm going to be stopping a lot on this guy because that's how they hold Charlie Kirk in such high esteem. A man that says black people have low IQ. So let me ask you, Sambo Soldier, something. Y'all never heard Charlie Kirk say that? Some of your white heroes died around the same time as Charlie Kirk. And let's talk about Charlie Kirk for a minute. His assassination was done in one of the most whitest places in America, but somehow or the other, Papa Bear, you come in there talking about black on black crime. There's no such thing as black on black crime, sir. Crime is crime. But y'all want to hold somebody like Charlie Kirk such high esteem. Charlie Kirk said that in order to have what? To defend your Second Amendments, somebody going to have to be taken out for it. Yeah, he said a whole lot worse than that, Sandy. So guess what? He got his wish. Now y'all mad. He got what he asked for. He said in order for us to have the Second Amendment and the First Amendment or any of our guaranteed things by the hey there, El Boogie, how you doing? By the Constitution, somebody would have to perish for it. And he didn't say it like that. So he got his wish. Say that again, Wilbert. I don't give a damn about Charlie Kirk. I say good riddance to bad rubbish. Charlie Kirk never had anything good to say about black folks. So why should I have something to say about Charlie Kirk? Show me one time that Charlie Kirk said anything good about a black man, woman, or child. Show me one time.
Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy. And we will devote the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave his last measure of devotion. You cannot defeat us. You cannot slow us. You cannot stop us. You cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart every single day and fight that much harder because of what you did to us. You have no idea the dragon you have awakened. You have no idea how determined we will be to save this civilization, to save the West, to save this republic. Because our children are strong, and our grandchildren will be strong, and our children's children's children will be strong.
Well, let's take a look at that there. Let me read this here because I got to make sure before I say anything to anybody that might be considered disrespectful. Like I said, I'm going to meet you where you're at. So Gorgonzola, halfway on the Amorph page. What do you mean by that? I'm not familiar with that. Or what are you talking about? So if you expound, and when you do, depends on how I'll respond to you. All right. All right. Is that fair enough? So where was I at with this Stephen Miller? Yeah, let me go ahead. Let him finish.
And what will you leave behind? Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing. That's what your folks will leave behind. So again, not my quote, but if you look it up, it says that once as a certain particular, we'll use the word race, sees itself in its demise, it will do anything from being eliminated. Now, if you look at the average 18-year-old white male, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that they would have been the, dare I say, the majority. They're not anymore. As of 2024, the average person that's coming out of school now is not the average 18-year-old white male. Whether you like it or not, Stephen Miller, and this is what you're huffing and puffing about, the United States of America, this melting pot, we've been stirring it long enough now to where it's starting to turn a lighter shade of brown. And you don't like that. Y'all thought this country was just built for just white folks. This is our country. Well, let's look at your forefathers. If they would have stayed in England, where would they be? They would have been jailed, drawn and quartered, or hung. One or the other, if y'all would have stayed in England or Great Britain. You would have been called treasonous. You would have been called insurrectionists. That shit that went on in January 6th, a couple years back, there wouldn't have been no jail cells full of y'all. Trump wouldn't have been able to pardon any of you because all of you would have met your demise if you were in England. That's Thomas Jefferson. That's Ben Franklin. That's all of them because they were considered traitors to the motherland. They gave us this clever thing that the Boston Tea Party was the kickoff of the river. Come on, throwing some tea in the harbor. That's all it took. He also told us that Paul Revere rolled through all these places and say, hey, the British are coming, the British are coming. Forgot to tell us that Thomas Jefferson, what's his name? Paul Revere, famous midnight ride. He didn't complete the ride on his own. They forgot to tell us that one of them men on them horses was a black man. They forgot to tell you that. So what have you built so far, Stephen Miller? Other than a legacy of running from somebody. Other than a legacy of murder and killing and raping and pillaging. Let's look at your ancestors. I think they would be quite embarrassed from what I understand you of Jewish heritage. Hey, what's up there, my Geechee Gullah sister B? You know what I'm saying? Hands on the wheels, 3-6. Watch your 3-6 and your 9, all right? You know how that traffic is around here, especially this time of day. Ooh, brutal. But let's listen to the rest of this guy here.
To our enemies, you have nothing to give, you have nothing to offer, you have nothing to share, but bitterness. We have beauty, we have light, we have goodness, we have determination, we have vision, we have strength. We built the world that we inhabit now, generation by generation, and we will defend this world. We will defend goodness, we will defend light, we will defend virtue. You cannot terrify us, you cannot frighten us, you cannot threaten us, because we are on the side of goodness, we are on the side of God.
I want y'all to understand that this speech that he's spouting, this is a speech by a black man. So he using the words of a black man to route up his base. Let that make sense. This just like the red pill guys, the blue pill guys, the pink pill guys, and all these other folks. They're using the idea and the concept from a woman to say that they don't like women. How much sense does that make, y'all? Now, might not know about Stephen Miller. You might have heard of him. But there's somebody that slowly but surely that they really calling the real shadow president. Now, when we pull this guy up, I want y'all, how many of y'all to tell me if y'all know who Russell Vought is? Y'all tell me. Put a 1 or a 2 or chat room right now if y'all know who Russell Vought is. Put a 1 or 2 in the chat if y'all know who he is. Anybody? Remember, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation. He's pretty vocal. Anybody know who bought this? Here he is.
Administration that you've probably never heard of. At least until the president posted this.
Joining us now, Russ Vogt.
Russ Vogt.
Russell Vogt, director of the office.
I tell people when Russ Vogt speaks, it's like a papal bull. You should pay attention.
He's more than just Donald Trump's budget guru. He has two very clear goals: to make the presidency as powerful as it's ever been, and to dismantle as much of the federal bureaucracy as he can.
Now, again, I introduce you to him. So let's take Donald Trump out there. Let's say for a minute that what I'm saying about Donald Trump is not true. Let's say that Donald Trump can organize all of this. Let's say that what's going on now, that the Library of Congress is not under attack. The Southern Poverty Law Center is not under attack. All things black. You think Donald Trump was really worried about whether his name was going to be on the Kennedy Center? Don't you think somebody had to put him up to that? I think we're giving Trump a little bit too much credit. We're not looking deeper. We're not willing to go down the rabbit hole because it's easy to say Trump this, Trump that. But Trump cannot do this by himself. He's not that smart. I don't give a damn what no one says. Trump is not a smart man. Everything about him is interest into Wharton. Someone took that test for him to get into the school that he went to. Someone took that. Someone paid the way for him to be there. So let's dig into who this guy really is.
People have referred to him as the shadow president. I'm Andy Kroll. I'm an investigative reporter for ProPublica. I've been covering politics and government in Washington for almost 16 years. I had heard the name Russ Vogt, but he was always just slightly outside the field of vision. And then I got my hands on this video.
We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. When they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work.
He talks about...
And what's going on right now, folks? What's going on with our Latino population? They don't want to go to work. Why? Because at any time, we just saw I think this was just a couple, in less than 72 hours, ICE is taking someone else out. And the normal cover-up, they put a bogus picture up of some criminal with some name on it and said it's the guy that they killed. Badgering the man's name, saying he's a criminal, he's a illegal alien, he shouldn't have been in this country, not having the ICE, trying to absolve ICE of everything that they do wrong. He tried to run over us with the car. A couple of weeks ago, we had a policeman. The best thing that he could do was stop some shoplifters, was to shoot into the car, killing a 1-year-old child. When you got Sambo soldiers and folks like Stephen and all these other folks saying, hey, she shouldn't have been stealing. And wonder why somebody tried to coin the phrase Black Lives Matter. And as soon as we coined that, just like music, just like art, just like everything else, y'all hijacked it. You found some Sambo soldiers that was willing to go along with what y'all was doing. And hijacked it. And that's usually par for the course. And that's really a lot of times. And this time I'm talking to my brothers and sisters. That's why a lot of times we can't get ahead. We put the wrong people in charge. I was having a conversation with a young person the other day. They didn't know who Marion Barry was. But if y'all don't know who Marion Barry was, we caught him smoking crack. He disappeared for a couple of years, said he was cleaned up, and y'all put him right back in office. We got Byron Donalds. We got the ABA man here down here in South Carolina, Tim Scott. got on nationwide TV and says, oh no, there's no such thing as racism. Racism is a thing of the past. And we got the biggest race Sambo soldier of all, Clarence Thomas, sitting up in one of the highest offices in the land, kicking the shit out of the very same thing that helped him achieve his greatness, as they called it.
About this goal of wanting to traumatize federal workers.
You want to put them in trauma.
That just planted this seed in my mind that I had to try to figure out.
Did they not do that? Let's go through. Let's take Doge in there and give me a list of all the folks that in the government, or give me a list of all the folks. So for a while there, when Trump got into office, these folks were under sheer panic to know whether they did have a job or not. They didn't know when the pink letter, or they didn't know when they were going to get the email, because a lot of these folks was not fired at the office. They didn't get no pink letter. They didn't get no severance pay. They got an email saying, don't come to work today. That's how they lost their jobs. I didn't see the email. That's why. And who was most affected by all those government layoffs? Here's a prime example of it right here. Somebody in the chat room right there, Black and Proud, says you're right. He was forced to retire.
Who this person is.
He declined my request for an interview, so I set out to talk to everyone I possibly could, watch every video, listen to every podcast. I obtained hours of briefings to his supporters that had never been published before.
America has experienced nothing short of a quiet revolution. We know the CRT and the transgender sewage that's being pumped into our schools and institutions. A border invasion.
Okay, again, there's that old thing. See, what happened was y'all didn't take me and other folks seriously. All the true content creators, myself. Hey, Shar, how you doing? We talked about this. Myself, ABT. We talked about this. I've had some other folks on that talked about this critical race theory that they were saying that was being taught in schools. It's not. It's not taught in any K through 12 situation. But again, hijack it, put a name on something, make it into a boogeyman, and all of a sudden it becomes reality. But actually what it is with CRT, critical race theory, is America coming to grips with itself. White America having to look in the mirror of the atrocity. And if you stand in a certain mirror a certain way and put up another mirror, it goes into infinity. So you can go back all the way back to 1776 and see how fucked up white America really has been. Now, some folks going to say, well, that ain't all white America. Of course, I'm not talking about all America. John Brown and his sons gave up his life. Countless white Americans knew that slavery was wrong. Countless white Americans knew that the civil rights era, something needed to be done about lunch counters and segregations. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to folks on the screen. And folks that gonna come in here like Slick Nick. Notice I quiet them down. Notice they shut up. Notice they went back up into the clouds, tucked their tails.
Furthering, quite frankly, a reverse colonization. We're actually trying to save the country.
Those recordings really help me understand his evolution from this numbers wonk to a full-fledged leader of the MAGA movement.
One of the key authors of Project 2025, Russell Vought,
told the reporters that Trump would deploy the military to silence the unrest.
I think you have to rehabilitate Christian nationalism. You have the largest deportation in history, block funding for Planned Parenthood.
Now, again, listen to all the things that we spoke about at Project 2025. Look at all the things that Trump has put in place. Do y'all really think he was that smart? I'm not sure what how to speak your name there, so I'll go ahead and read your comment. So if people own people, can't those people be sued? You can't sue the government without its permission here in the United States, sir. You got to ask the federal government, can I sue you first? And you know how hard it is to go to our federal government, the United States of America government, and this in its form right as it is right now. They abolished part of what they call the EEOC. They abolished all kind of those things to where you could have a possible chance of bringing some kind of litigation against the government. The only place that black people can truly go now to sue the United States government is to the World Council. But before you can do that, guess what you got to do? You got to get permission, written permission from the United States government first. So I hope that answers your question. Hey, Shar, how you doing? Welcome in, welcome in.
I want to be the person that crushes the deep state.
Yeah, I called for trauma within the bureaucracies. The bureaucracies hate the American people.
He really has a vision to change the direction of American history.
We must do our duty for the course of this country, quite frankly, for the course of Western civilization, and for the course of history.
Vogt has always seen himself as a blue-collar political outsider, even though he's spent basically his entire adult life here in Washington.
Now, I want y'all to think about that. When you go over to the Heritage Foundation and you listen to folks like Delano Squires, and you listen to John Roberts, and you listen to a whole lot of those other folks over there, one thing they always use is unelected bureaucrats. Isn't this an unelected bureaucrat that's on the screen right now? He holds no public office. But he is indeed the shadow president, because now that you know who he is, and now you know his connections to Project 2025, John Roberts and Trump, excuse me, not whatever his name is, Roberts and Trump, now you know. These are the people that's upsetting the America, trying to say that we are not the patriots. They're not patriotic, folks. Ask yourself, white, black, or whatever you are or be. If you call you American citizen, does this sound patriotic to you?
The first job that seems to have left a real mark on him, and it did leave a serious imprint, was when he got a job working in the mailroom of a senator from Texas named Phil Gramm.
This is a collage of political giveaways. I am not going to spend more money we don't have on programs we can't afford.
And if you don't know who that guy is, I tell you, the past will shoot you up. This was in 1995. Back in 1980s, there's such thing called the Gramm-Welkman Act. And I see why the military got so boosted up. They didn't want to spend money on social programs. They wanted to spend that money on building up the military. That's why the military budget is where it's at right now. You got to go back in history. Like I said, those who don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Look, and the thing about it is, I want you to look at the contrast in age. Here it is, 1995. Now look at this guy. Still old and still like Strom Thurmond. The laws that Graham put in place, generations gonna have to fuck with. Generations. But you say that, Blackhawk, these black YouTube content creators don't get it. Trey, the Truth Teller panel was full of racist white people last night, and they welcomed them with open arms. It was embarrassing as fuck. And I agree with you. You know, for those who really believe that those guys coming over there talking about, well, we're going to get to that. I'm going to let Malcolm tell them about that a little bit later on there. I'm going to let Malcolm tell them about that, Blackhawk.
Bill Graham was the ultimate budget hawk. He was sort of half-jokingly referred to as the most hated man in Washington.
Our problem really comes down to the political power of the public employee labor union.
He was willing to make enemies not just of Democrats, but of Republicans as well. And that really gives you an insight into Russ Vogt. When he was inside the legislative branch. He finds himself battling far more with fellow Republicans who, in his view, are not living up to the principles of what it means to be a conservative. He grows so disillusioned that he leaves.
After 12 years on Capitol.
Now, if we were speaking about a Muslim person, if we were speaking about a black person, if we were speaking about an Asian person, or if we were speaking about a Latino person, they would say we got radicalized. They did say we got radicalized. Because remember, when Obama first took office, when he started running, what was the first thing they attacked about him? Minus the birtherism thing. The first thing they attacked about him was his spiritual advisor. That was the first thing that they attacked. Am I wrong?
Hill, I was often frustrated by why more members of Congress simply didn't do the right thing. Most of them spend too much time listening to the loud vocal groups in their district clamoring for more government.
He goes to this new upstart group.
Here we go again. What's that, William Hope? Okay, William, he said African Americans are the next to be deported. Deported to where, sir? And you might be right about that, because actually, if you hear my voice right now, and if I was born in Kentucky, am I an African American? No, I'm a Black American, sir. Where you going to deport me to? Where you going to deport my families to? Where you going to deport all the other Black people that was born in this country, just like you, William? I'm guessing, William, that you were born here. But let me give you an idea of something, William Hope. Let me give you an idea of something, William Hope. And maybe you'll change your name to after this. Okay, William, Bill. If we took how many is, I think it's a total of 52.3, 52.4 Black Americans out of this country, within a week, this country would fall apart. If you, I tell you what, William, if you got all the money and you got a country that you can so-called deport the Black Americans to, I'll start this called the back to Argentina fund, or the back to Africa fund, or back to wherever fund, and you make sure you kick in. That's housing. That's everything, since you want us Black Americans out of this country. And when we get there, when you start falling apart, just like the Dark Ages, don't call us and say, can you help us? Don't call for our medicines. Don't call for our history. Don't call for our education. Don't call for anything. Don't call for us, our inventions. And let's see how long you last. Because the first time you folks came over here, if the Indians didn't save you, y'all wouldn't be here right now. And what did the Indians get in return for saving y'all lily white asses? Smallpox. Well, when you come in here, like I said, I don't know, William Hope, if you're friend or foe. So it's all about how I read things. So if you're African American, then, sir, you might be right. Y'all might be the next one there. Who's that? What's the group? The group that just lost the TPS status, temporary status. Now, if you're talking about the Haitians, you might be right about that. So we good, William. We good. We good. So you might be right about that. But me, as a Black American, where are they going to deport me to? Right, so they're after the Haitians now. But again, no disrespect to my Haitian brethren, but when someone says your status here is temporary, that should mean sometime, at some point in time, either a law is going to change or your temporary status is going to run out. Unfortunately, it ran out under the Trump regime. They didn't have to lift that TPS ban, but they did. So, William, in this case, you're absolutely right. African Americans are the next group to go. But, Donald Trump said, when he rid of all the immigrants, the black folks said we can get them jobs back because y'all came over here, the Haitians and the Latinos and, all those other folks from them S-hole countries, as they call them, they're taking our jobs. Last time I picked peaches, I was a kid, and I just did it for fun. I needed a little money. Didn't have a lawnmower to cut grass, so, But anyway, let's listen to more about Mr. Voigt.
Called Heritage Action, the quote-unquote new fangs of an old beast, which is the Heritage Foundation, the sort of long-standing conservative think tank. And he becomes basically the chief antagonist of his own party.
Let's give him a warm welcome. Russ Vogt.
We believe that every member of Congress needs congressional accountability, whether they're the best or the worst member of Congress.
You should not fund and pay for Obamacare.
It's hurting the American economy.
Fund government, but not Obamacare.
Now, here's what it is. This is not Obamacare. That's just a label that you white Americans decide to put on it. The ACA, the Affordable Health Care Act, that's been around for how long? But because we got this, as y'all want to say, so as the Sambo soldiers would say, this man with a white mother, all of a sudden we put this label of Obama on it. And what does that do? It creates another boogeyman. It creates a stigma that this is only going to go to black folks. But it's funny, those same members of Congress that are over there railing against Obamacare, it's funny that they're using it. Let that make sense. The same folks that was talking about when Obama bailed all these different people out that benefited from that. The PPP loans and all that when Biden was in office. They all benefited from it. But they'll stand up in a crowd to their red meat audience and say, we got to get rid of Obamacare. When they're using it. We're one of the few civilized countries, as they call us, that the entire population does not have universal health care. We're one of the richest countries in the world that does not have universal health care. You got millionaires all over this country, scattered throughout every state in the union. We got a military budget of trillions and trillions of dollars. What's up there, Chris? Yes, Chris. How you doing? Well, let me tell you something. Mitt Romney, his folks is from around here. If you come to Charleston, South Carolina, there's a couple streets that's called Romney Street. So Mitt Romney's folks are originally from South Carolina. So I'm going to have to say yes, Chris. Yes, Chris. He is a POS. A lot of these names that you hear, folks, their ancestors are here in South Carolina, white and black. Let's see what else they say about Obama here. What Obama about to say?
At midnight last night, for the first time in 17 years, Republicans in Congress chose to shut down the federal government.
He is very much a creature of the swamp, someone who knows the federal budget inside and out. He has really passionate feelings about the House Rules Committee. Yet he comes around to this notion that we need to stir people at the grassroots and make that change flow up.
Never wanted to leave the fight, and really until Donald Trump becomes elected, and then you have an opportunity for paradigm-shifting work.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action.
There was a scramble to try to get people to go into these key jobs, and getting people to go to the Office of Management and Budget is a crucial role. A lot of what they're doing right now at such a rapid clip, they tried to do during Trump's first administration.
No, I said that when Trump wasn't impeached that second time, and when he announced his candidacy again, I said, if Trump gets in office for a second time, everything that he did not do right in his first term, He's going to correct this time. He's not. He's going to put people around him that will only say yes to him. Fortunately, the folks that was around in his first term, they kept Trump in check. The generals, Joint Chiefs of Staff, and some other folks that was in that cabinet, they kept him in check. And then instead of telling the American people about it, you know how we found out about most of that? In books. They kept quiet about it until the book came out. We had to read about it. So don't do me no more favors, generals. What's the guy's name? John Bolton. Read about it in a book. Read about the corruption in the book. We don't want to tell you about what is going on. But read about it in my book after I sell about 3-4 million copies. After I make my money like Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene. The list goes on of folks that have profited and now going to talk shit about Trump. You was a part of that machine. And here it is right here. So, again, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, sir, and all respect due. But so tell me a little bit about this healthcare system. So that means that if I got, say, a broken leg or whatever, I could go to the hospital, get a cast or whatever, and I won't receive a $10,000 bill in a month. Or say if someone gets sick and an ambulance has to be called, I won't get an ambulance bill along with a hospital bill. Is that what universal health care is over in that state? And that goes for anyone that's there? Even if people that come over on work visas and everything else? I'll give you time to answer. Let's continue.
Dollar that Congress approved to fund the government. OMB controls the flow of that money. If you were to pick the one place in the federal government to go where you could put a kink in the hose and bring everything to a stop, OMB is basically the only place where you could do that.
Now, someone came in here a couple of weeks ago and said that Eddie Murphy never said anything but political. So I went back and I watched the movie Distinguished Gentleman. And that's exactly just one of the things that he pointed out. If you're on one of these committees, you got to get on the committee that handles the money. That's what he says. Hell, son, you don't want to be on that committee. You want to be on this committee. This is where the magic happens. Well, I don't know about that there. I'm going to leave that comment right there. I don't know if you're friend or foe, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to explain this comment. I'm not even going to put it on the screen, but you says asylum seekers are those arrested for or convicted of medis and petties. You mean getting their toes done? Is that it? Are you trying to say that's why the only reason why people go to other countries? Because they're about to get arrested in their own country? Martin, what's your name? Martia May? Is that what you're trying to say? Well, again, like I said, we're one of the few countries. I didn't name one. I didn't go around choosing countries of which one had universal health care and which one that don't. But I can say for the United States, we're one of the richest countries in the world. Notice I said one of the richest countries in the world that does not offer universal health care. So if China is one of those countries, then let's talk about China too. Why not? With all the money that they make, especially from imports or exports, why don't they offer universal health care? I can understand that paying for the ambulance because gas ain't free, so I can imagine that. And Sandy, I knew some people someone would come up with this answer, and thank you very much. But you're absolutely right. Universal health care means that all private insurance carriers would be put out of business. I don't think I'll ever see that in my lifetime. I don't think that there'll ever be such a thing as the insurance companies willing to give up this $1 million, billion dollar, $1 trillion industry for universal health care. Two things stay open 24 hours a day, folks: the police and the hospital. Those two things stay open, not unless they get torn down by some act of nature. Well, again, I don't think people go to other countries just because they have the law chasing them. So I'll disagree with that. Now, I think some people, let's say people that come in here from the United States, the main reason that I hear from them, Miss May, is that they come over here for a better life. And they come over here to prosper. They come over here for the American way. Now, do some folks slip through the crack? Do some criminals slip through the cracks? Yes. Going and coming. Yeah. Well, there's poor people all over the world too, don't you think? Not only the United States of America, there's poor people in Great Britain, there's poor people in Russia, there's poor people in China, there's poor people in the Philippines, there's poor people in Africa, there's poor people everywhere. The United States is not a monolith when it comes to poor people. Now, I don't want to guess how old you are, but if you're around in the 70s and the 80s, our TV screens was flooded with poor people. 19 cents a day, you too can help feed a child in some starving nation. And just as Charles says, their billions of profits drop, but they would remain in business. I would imagine so. If you think about it, I guess so. I guess so. I'm sure there's some people that would want private health care. But I would imagine the premiums would be out of this world. Let me go to this a little bit more. She says, some drugs are extremely expensive, but some of them are covered and some not. If they are new drugs, new treatments, etc., it costs money, but operations and hospital bills, no such thing. Yeah. And again, I can understand that, that's to pay for medications and things like that. I can understand that part of it also. But again, if you were one of those unfortunate people that have to go to the hospital and spend some time in a U.S. hospital, or maybe a week, 2 weeks, the bill that's coming to you, that hospital stay, it sucks up a whole lot of people's savings. Some people have to choose between, again, medication and food because it's so expensive over here.
But Congress has the power of the purse. And there is even a law that says the president cannot, quote unquote, impound, to use the legal jargon term, cannot freeze lawfully approved money just because the White House disagrees with it.
Well, why
that's
have
what
they
they
done
did
it?
in this case with Ukraine.
Democrats tonight are seizing on newly unredacted documents about what's at the heart of the president's impeachment, that freeze on military aid to Ukraine.
In 2019, the message comes down from the White House to the Office of Management and Budget that we want to freeze more than $200 million of money that was going to go to Ukraine in the form of security assistance.
The bureaucracy was literally just ignoring it. And quite frankly, his political appointees like John Bolton were ignoring him as well.
In Vote's eyes, this was a deep state.
Now you understand why John Bolton got kicked out. Now you understand why so many people, it wasn't Trump's decision. Now, again, Trump is not that smart. It's the shadow president. This guy that's not the guy that's speaking, but the one that's talking about, that's keep calling these folks bureaucrats and the bureaucracy. Who is it? Can you put a name on one of these bureaucrats? Can you round them up? Are they Democrats? Are they Republicans? Are they independents? Who are these bureaucrats that you're referring to? Because when I hear John Bolton's name, the first name they think I come to mind is Trump.
Subordination, a rebellion by employees who weren't on board with the president.
And we cut the money off, and it was like all hell broke loose within the bureaucracy.
Well, he got impeached, yeah.
And so,
yeah.
Again, another mouthpiece, Tucker Carlson. Another white mouthpiece.
Resolution impeaching Donald John Trump.
Impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors.
Vote has repeatedly said that they didn't break the law, even though this government watchdog said that they did. But really, he sees this as a kind of first test moment in a strategy that he believes actually the president should use, and should use far more often and aggressively than even in the case of the Ukraine money. It's July of 2020, and Vote is sworn in as the director.
We had 6 months to go, and the president said, Russ, we need another term. We're just figuring this out.
In the final weeks of the administration, Trump is constantly talking about how the election is fraudulent. This, of course, culminates in January 6th. There is an exodus of senior people in the Trump administration.
And that was it. That's another thing. Folks don't talk about January 6th. There were so many people that did not want to be a part of this, that they said, fuck it, I'm gone. They either retired from Congress, they got out of politics, and they slid into the shadows. So that left the door open for who? Trump and his cronies. They put in place people that was loyal to them. This was no accident on Trump's second term, folks. As I said, this January 6th insurrection is much bigger than we ever believed it would be. This was the catapult for Trump's second term. This was it. The fake elector scheme didn't work. The screaming at the top of his lungs that the election was rigged and all, none of that worked because he had no proof of it. And anytime some proof of some election fraud came up, it was usually under the Republican Party.
Russ Vote is not a part of that exodus. He stands by Trump. And on one of the last days, Vote tells him that he plans to launch this new political operation with the mission to essentially keep the MAGA movement alive.
Our next guest has launched a new think tank and advocacy group to advance former President Trump's America First agenda.
Russ Vote, former Office of Management and Budget Director and the president of the Center for Renewing America. Russ, thank you for joining.
Now, as much as I don't tell people to watch Fox News, this is why you have to watch Fox News. This is why you have to go over and watch The Five. This is why you have to go over and watch when Tucker Carlson was there. This is why you had to go and watch Sean Hannity, because these are the people that they put in front of the whole of America. More people watch Fox News, and more, dare I say this, I'm going to say it. Y'all ready? More white folks watch Fox News than any other legacy broadcast media out there. Some of these folks are glued to their favorite Fox show. That's where Pete Hegseth came from. But this is why you got to watch the, as I'll call them, the ops.
When Vote looks out at the state of the country, he sees quite a darkened landscape.
The FBI has been weaponized. The critical race theory is state-sanctioned racism. And what they're doing in our schools and pushing gender-affirming care is chemical castration.
In 2022, his organization...
Now, again, I'm not here to say anything about the alphabet community, no disrespect when I say that. But again, you're the target also. Hanging around black people, or and again, no disrespect when I say this, but attaching yourself to black people sometimes, it means that you come under that same fire that we get. And a lot of time, a lot of these movements will attach themselves to black movements, civil rights movement, war on drugs movement, all these different things. At the same time, under the guise of equal opportunity for all. You can't judge somebody because of the lifestyle that they live behind the doors. But that's what these people are doing. You have no rights if you're in the alphabet community. They run around telling folks that teachers are changing the genders of young kids as young as 5, 6, 7 years old. Now, I don't know how many of y'all ever been 5, 6, or 7 years old, but if somebody walked up to me and walked up to you at 5 or 6 or 7 years old and started talking something like that, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. What is that? What are you talking about? It won't even be those type words that come out of mine. I'm probably gonna look at you with a face of bewilderment. What is those words you're using at me? I don't know what that is. Chemical cast what? And they say in the prisons. Well, again, this Constitution that they say that they have, it says there's no such thing as cruel and unusual punishment. So they're saying that some of these people that are convicted of crimes, that they're being used as test subjects for these chemical castrations. Well, isn't that cruel and unusual punishment? Well, again, my brother, again, I wish I could speak your name, but, again, I think as a whole lot of people in the United States would clamor for what's going over there in your part of the world. I know the price of drugs, drug prices are rocking sky high right now. Gases ain't cheap. Food ain't cheap. The same thing that you could go out if you went to the grocery store and spent $200, just a round figure, spent $200 last week on some groceries. Maybe 3 years ago, that might have been 100, 120, 130 bucks. I will say this to anybody. If you got some property, if you got some land, I would suggest you start tilling it up and start growing your own crops. 'Tis the season. You still got there's still time to put some crops in the ground that will grow throughout the rest of the season. Squash, tomatoes, pole beans. Go get your couple cows and fatten them up.
Center for Renewing America hosts this gala at, of course, Mar-a-Lago. President Trump is there, giving Vote's operation his imprimatur in media appearances and briefing calls with his supporters. Vote is very vocal in a way that he just wasn't at any point earlier in his career about what he sees as being wrong with America.
Right.
So we believe that we have become too secular, not just overall in the country, but on the right. Our elites have lost the consensus that we're a Judeo-Christian nation.
And so this new project is not only about taking on critical race theory or raising awareness among the grassroots about the weaponization of government, but he's also seeding this deeper notion that America is basically losing sight of what it actually was meant to be.
I have no problem.
A white Anglo-Saxon country. That's what this guy, John Vogt, or whatever his name is, Vogt. Judeo-Christian is an oxymoron. Didn't seem right to me either. But then again, that's why I like educated folks coming into my whatchamacallit, because there's that old saying goes, you're never too old to learn. So if you don't mind there, let's see, code, KO 338. If you don't mind, expound on that. Type it and I'll put it on the screen why it's an oxymoron. So folks can't say I'm just making shit up, okay?
If it's properly understood when someone calls me a Christian nationalist. I reject when they're trying to use a dog whistle, when they're trying to say it's a fascist and all that nonsense. But should we lean into this?
Unlike most pejoratives, it describes something that's true. We are Christians who are nationalists. We are people who believe that we have a Christian nation. Right now, churches have all of this talk about love your neighbor, and they don't have any ability to say, no, we do not want that group of refuge coming from that country that is dominated by Sharia law. We don't want.
Okay, again, it's always a country that's dominated by Sharia law. But let's look at, since he spoke about religion, let's look at the average Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon here in the United States of America. One of the most segregated times in the United States is from 9 a.m. to noon, high noon, when everybody is going to church or on their way to church. So at high noon, you're in church, the white folks are in their church, the Latinos are in their church, the black folks are in their church, the Koreans are in their church. Again, so it's an ideology there, Black Hawk. What they're trying to tell you is assimilate. Remember Megyn Kelly said that last week when I did that stream? Assimilate to this country. If you don't assimilate, we don't want you. You don't think Megyn Kelly has the ear of Donald Trump? We can go back and we can literally listen to the footage of her fawning over Obama. You would think that she had a nut talking about Obama. But now listen to her. Trying to tell me racism isn't profitable? Shit. Or as my man said it, shit.
He takes his vision, his plan, his ideas straight to the grassroots.
Honor all the work that Russell Vogt has been doing. Those Thursday calls, I look forward to every week.
He has this weekly briefing call with anyone who is a supporter who wants to tune in.
We have largely failed to turn back the overwhelming tide of government.
We have largely failed to turn back the overtide of government. Meaning is, wait a minute, we're losing our grip. We got to do something. What's up there, South Passe? What's going on with your good brother? How the family? Hope everybody's good. You're hearing this, folks, and this is somebody that's not in mainstream media. This is somebody that you don't hear about. He's not in the news, and when you do, since a lot of us don't watch Fox News, when he is on the news, he's not on those channels that we watch. Whether you watch the legacy media, you literally have to go look for this guy. An unelected bureaucrat, as the guy from the Heritage Foundation said, is literally running the country. Because again, think about, listen to what he's saying, and then go back and listen to Donald Trump's speeches. Listen to what Stephen Miller has said, and go back and Stephen Baker, whatever the fuck his name is, and listen to what Donald Trump says when he speaks. The only time he does not sound like these two gentlemen is when he goes off script.
These recordings really give you a view in the way he thinks about strategy.
So when you're watching television and the words woke and weaponized come out of a politician's mouth, you can know that that's coming from this call, that's coming from the strategies that we're putting out and trying to shape the narrative.
Again, hijacked. They took a word that meant something in black communities. Woke meaning stay safe, keep your eyes open, don't be in these sundown towns, be careful of where you stop at. Make sure you, when you're traveling, especially the areas, that you follow the routes that's in that green book. Stay woke. Everybody want to give Erykah Badu credit for that. That was in what, 2006? That's been around longer than Erykah Badu. I love Erykah Badu. I love her music. And she might have introduced it back to the mainstreams. But Stay Woke been around for a long, long time. They hijacked that. And this is why, because this guy, he's at the age of knowing what Stay Woke means. He knows what it means. He knows that's a communication. What Kevin Roberts did, he went and studied this. He translated what he found. His dissertation tells us that he studied this and brought it back to folks like these and these think tanks and these secret meetings and these Zoom calls and these StreamYard back chats. And they say that they'll look at a Muslim guy or someone from another part of the world and say that these folks are being radicalized. What is he doing to the average American citizen? He's radicalizing them. Tell me I'm not wrong, because I'm not.
He had success getting these ideas into the bloodstream of American politics.
Crooked Joe's DOJ is woke and weaponized.
Woke and weaponized bureaucrats at the department.
This woke and weaponized government has to be defanged.
There's a moment in one of these tapes.
Now, if you listen to go back and all through all of these, during the Lauren Boebert era, to the Matt Gaetz era, and all these other bureaucrats and elected politicians in this era, they all said the same thing. When they all hit the Sunday morning shows, they all read from the same script. Now, I wonder where that script is coming from. Now you know. Now you know. If you didn't know, now you know. When you would listen to them and say, damn, all these folks sounded vaguely familiar. It can't be that coincidence. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? They're all starting to sound familiar. Now you know why they do sound familiar, because a script goes out, an email goes out. This is what you say on them Sunday morning shows. Don't deviate from it. Or if you have to deviate for it, come up with some bullshit ass answer.
At this annual confab, and it was actually a speech given by Steve Bannon.
And I realize there's some people that question Trump, but look at that command performance he gave the other night.
Again, another unelected bureaucrat running the United States. Steve Bannon, another unelected bureaucrat. That you hear the general American public being radicalized by these two men right now. What's up there, Jay Blue? How you doing?
I mean, it's like Charlemagne. That's like a Viking chieftain standing up there. Russ can tell he's a very imperfect instrument, right? But he's an instrument of the Lord. He's an instrument of the Lord for his vengeance. Okay.
We think about Bannon and vote.
An instrument of the Lord and his vengeance. Again, that's why when folks say, Mr. Music, are you religious? I tell them, hell no. I got faith. Because these two men call themselves Christians. And the Lord says, vengeance is mine. He didn't put a color or put a name on it. I think if the Lord was to come down and smite somebody, he'd smite thee, not me. He'd smite you two.
As surrogates of Trump. When you hear Bannon describe Trump as an instrument of God, you start to think that maybe it's the other way around. That Trump is an instrument that vote uses.
It's the Diablo. That's what he is. He didn't want to say it, but you think it's just the opposite. When you think of God, you think of the devil. That's the opposite. And you got the puppeteers that go out searching for souls. As they said, Satan got kicked out of heaven and was allowed to roam this earth. Since they always like their Christian talk. What's up there, Logical Assessment? How you doing, good brother? It's always a pleasure. Yeah, man, anytime you want to come up, Logical Assessment, and chop it up with me, hey, I'll put my email in the description. So if you want to have a topic that you want to like to come up and discuss with me, send me the research material, and man, we can get it on. I'd love to have like-minded people up on my platform. That's for sure. So anytime you want to do that, man, just let me know.
Bannon uses, or in their view, that the Almighty uses toward this longer term agenda.
The stark reality in America is that we are in the late stages of a complete Marxist takeover of the country. We are here in the year of 2024, a year that very well, and I believe it will, rival 1776.
Again, Let's go. Let's go with that first thing. That first word, Marxist. We talked about that earlier. They had those dog whistle signs. If you were a Marxist back in what at that time, the McCarthyism and Marxism and all of this stuff, you was an enemy. You were public enemy number one, right? Did he mention color? Right now, is he talking about a color or is he talking about an ideology? Some of your white folks fall, as he says this, some of your white folks fall under the wrong ideology. Y'all need to step back in line. We're going to identify you one way or the other. And when we do, we're going to eliminate you because you're fucking up progress. We can't have no sympathizers up off in here.
In 1860. And guess what? We have in Donald Trump a man who is so uniquely positioned to serve this role, a man whose own interests perfectly align with the interests of the country. That is nothing more than a gift of God.
Now, when I said that a couple of weeks ago, the trolls was in here mad as hell. They was in here mad as hell, weren't they? They were saying, no, Trump don't think like that, but here it is, out of Trump's number one advisor, the shadow president, repeating the very same things that Trump says. But I'm wrong, huh? You don't have your facts, Mr. Music. You're just talking out the side of your neck, Mr. Music. You're just mad at white people, Mr. Music. Why don't you get with the program, Mr. Music? You're just a DJ. Stick to playing music. Like what's the chick on Fox told LeBron, just dribble the damn ball. That's called taxation without representation. And I'm not going to have it. The worst thing that happened to you, some of you white folks, is this shit that I'm talking on right now, the internet. Because without my IP address, you don't know where the fuck I'm at. You can't come blow up my spot. All you know is I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. Good finding me from there. Charleston ain't that small city. For all you know, I could be lying about that too.
The plans are already underway to ensure that if Donald Trump wins, all of the chaos and dysfunction and lack of preparation that hampered his first administration will not hamper his second.
Project 2025, now Project 2026. We tried to tell you, myself, Shar, ABT, and Zahara, and a whole bunch of us. We was blue in the face, but y'all rather be over there with the Angry Man and BGS and Sharon Bracey. Y'all rather be over there. Y'all rather be in the Hollywood gossip column. Because that's basically what those streams are. Yeah, I do a little gossip from time to time. I call them loose nigger roundups. But my loose nigger roundups have purpose, not super chats. I'm not going to stop in the middle of the stream and say, damn it, y'all not hitting the like button. Damn it, I'm not getting no support. I only need 99 cents. I'm not going to say, if you want me to read something, put $10 on it. I'm not going to play music for 35 minutes before I speak. Or I'm not going to put a young man, unfortunately, that was convicted of a crime. I'm not going to strip him down and completely wipe away his manhood. Or I'm not going to chase a black woman around all over West Hell and back because I don't like what she said. Y'all rather go over and listen to them. Y'all rather argue about whether Tommy Sotomayor is going to be on your platform or not. He brings views to the platform. Well, if you want them views, you don't want much. If you want the crowd that Tommy Sotomayor brings to you, you don't want much. This is an equal opportunity ass whipping today. Anybody don't like what I say when I'm getting ready to drop this link, if you want to come up and talk to me about it, feel more than welcome to. Equal opportunity ass whippings abound today. I ain't got nothing to do.
Vote is absolutely at the center of these efforts.
The majority of my time right now is being spent chairing the transition portion of the Project 2025. We have detailed agency plans. We are writing the actual executive orders. I don't want President Trump having to lose a moment of time having fights in the Oval.
Again, if you don't listen, you don't hear. We are writing these executive orders. How many executive orders? Wait a minute. I got to find out for myself because I don't know. So I'm going to pull up my trusted Google. Hey, Google. Hey, Google. Now you don't want to act right. Okay. Hey, Google. How many executive orders has Donald Trump signed in his second term?
My bad if I hit a snag. How can I help you out right now?
How many executive orders? Hey, Google, let's try this again. How many executive orders has Donald Trump signed in his second term?
President Donald Trump has signed 269 executive orders in his second
269 executive orders that this guy just told you that they wrote. 269 executive orders in a little over a year of being in the presidency. So when they told you they already had the trick bag written up and all they needed was to do was implement it, he meant that. You're not hearing it from me. You're hearing it from him. You're hearing it from the horse's mouth. There's no speculation about this.
Office about whether something is legal or doable or moral. If we fail, this election will have been for nothing.
The golden age of America begins right now.
Day one.
What is the golden age of America? Huh? What is the golden age of America? Any black or brown person, can you tell me what the golden age of America means? What does it mean to you? What do you mean executive orders mean zip, sir? That's how he's getting around Congress through executive orders. What do you mean they don't mean zip? Right now, he listen, he started a whole war without going to Congress through executive orders. He's reallocated money without Congress authorization, even though Congress holds the power of the purse through executive orders. So what do you mean, Richard Rich? What do you mean executive orders don't mean zip? And I'm not sure what you mean by before the Civil Rights Act there, Mandy, but welcome in.
In the most Trumpian fashion, the president sits down at a desk in an arena with a stack of executive orders, and he sets in motion just an absolute blizzard in the executive branch. Vote comes back into the same role, picking up right where he left off.
The president ran on the notion that the Impoundment Control Act is unconstitutional. I agree with that.
So it is the law of the land. I don't care what the president.
Okay, let's address this comment right here, Rich. Okay, the Gulf of Mexico is still the Gulf of Mexico, no matter how many red hat morons can't get it. Well, I'm going to agree with you that the Gulf of Mexico should be the Gulf of Mexico. It is what it is. But Donald Trump and his guys came in along with Lauren Boebert, along with any of those those Republicans, even though some of them are running for cover. You were hearing them run around talking about let's change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Now, you also remember when Donald Trump tried to change the course of a hurricane with a Sharpie. But these are the things that the American overall American public, because according to Donald Trump and his guys, the majority of Americans put him in office. So I'm only going by what they say that allowed him to get away with this. Although by changing the course and the trajectory, of said hurricane path, that put people that would have been in harm's way, or they could have done something, had time to evacuate or get out of harm's way, because he decided to shift to where the hurricane was going. Think how many people could have got fucked up just because of him and his Sharpie. But y'all let that slide. FEMA budget gutted. Y'all let that slide. Grab them by the pussies. Y'all let that slide. He just got the Supreme Court didn't want to even take up his case for the E.G. Carroll thing, but y'all let that slide. Now I wonder if that would have been just a regular run-of-the-mill black man, white man, or whatever, that kind of judgment against him. Matter of fact, he wouldn't have had that kind of judgment. He went to jail.
Said when he was running, it is the law of the land.
He and his team played a key role in firing government workers, slashing budgets to the bone.
Rescind $1.1 billion in funding to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, to $8.3 billion in funding for the State Department.
Now, again, PBS. How many of us grew up watching Sesame Street? How many of us grew up watching public broadcast TV? How many of us got our early education from public broadcast TV? This administration gutted public broadcast TV to where now they can't even put out the news. PBS is hurting, whether it's TV or whether it's radio. They're hurting. You know, I remember there was a time where PBS would put out 5-minute news briefs on the hour. They cut it back to every 6 hours now. No funding. So when people come over here and telling me that Donald Trump is the greatest president, I beg to differ with you. Come show me some evidence of where I'm wrong, that Donald Trump is the worst president ever when it comes to not only black people, but white people too.
He held up billions in funding for Head Start, after-school programs, energy assistance for low-income households, research at the National Institutes of Health. One of Vogt's colleagues at his think tank came out and said Elon Musk was taking direction from Russ.
Another unelected bureaucrat in the most sensitive areas of this nation. And he got the nerve to get up there and joke with a fucking chainsaw in his hand. White America, y'all let that go too. You let a deposed South African, that his family left South Africa because they got rid of apartheid. Do y'all think that he forgot about that? Who was the main people that helped South Africa liberate itself from apartheid? The United States of America. Do you think him or his parents forgot about that? And it's funny, look at all the folks down in the audience that he's holding up a chainsaw that probably some of y'all grandparents, some of your children, or a Head Start and all this other stuff, and some of your grandchildren, all of them got affected by what Elon Musk is up here trying to tell you now is a joke. Again, this is a cult. That's the only way you can describe MAGA, a cult. Because people are telling you that they're going to do bad things to you and you're clapping.
Chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw.
There was some friction, but then there were other examples where it seemed that Vogt and Doge were working hand in glove. And when they did, they could be brutally efficient. The clearest example of this is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
We virtually shut down the out-of-control CFPB, escorting radical left bureaucrats out of the building and locking the doors behind them.
Vogt was put in charge of it by Trump. He directed Doge operatives to go in and get access to data. At the same time that Vogt himself was shutting down the headquarters and stopping all work. This status quo smashing approach.
See this right here? Again, and you're absolutely right. That the list goes on there, Richard, of the amount of cults that's been in the United States. But Elon Musk, this was a tweet of his, folks. And look at how many people looked at that. February 7th at 4:41 p.m. 50.7 million views. CFPB, RIP, Consumer Fraud Protection Bureau. Those two words right there, consumer, meaning us. From what? Prevention. Let's go to the B. That means if you got ripped off by some company somewhere, there was at least a legal course of action that you would be able to take. When this got buried, when Elon Musk put that up, those went out, that went out the door. Going to the day of these class action suits, where everybody get a little piece of the pie when we find that a bad medicine or something like that, a recall or something like that, and you get into a car accident, you can't sue these folks no more. And I wonder why that was so important to Trump. What's up there, Greg? How you doing? Greg Watkins, welcome in, welcome in. I wonder why that was so important to Trump, to get rid of this agency first. I wonder why that was important to those guys, to get rid of this first, and to bring in another unelected bureaucrat to do it. With the promise of, we're going to hook you up with them electric cars. Them EVs going to be the new thing, bro. We got you. And what happened? Shortly after this picture was taken, Trump and Elon Musk fell out.
That Elon took.
Some of the things that I say will be incorrect. Nobody's going to bat 1,000.
Created more momentum for the bigger scale things that Vogt wants to accomplish.
5:03 this morning, day 2 of the federal government shutdown, and right now Congress remains deadlocked.
We should not bend it all on a CR, because then we've given the heroin addict a taste of heroin again. Have we not, Russ?
I don't think anyone should be afraid of a government shutdown.
You know Russell Vogt, he's a serious person, very serious person, and he's sitting there and he's getting ready to cut things.
Russ Vogt, the OMB director, has been dreaming about this moment, preparing this moment since puberty.
Russ Vogt, who has posted on X just a short time ago, the rifts have begun. RIF, R-I-F, stands for reduction in force.
No matter the attacks, the slander, the legal bills, the ended relationships.
In Russ Vogt, the cultural battles and the fiscal battle.
So this is here what Russ Vogt just said. No matter the scandals, no matter the lawsuits, like Trump said, stand back and stand down.
Have been brought together.
So plan and act accordingly, give freely, pray continuously, but come what may, fight.
And you're seeing that play out day by day right now in the second Trump administration. It's hard to think of a White House that has so pushed the bounds on what the president can do.
They've never seen anything like what's happened in the last 8 months.
It's setting up what I think is going to be a pretty dramatic clash, not only between the White House and Congress, but ultimately a fight that's going to play out in the courts, and one that will determine how powerful the president really is.
We will make our country greater, stronger, more united, and more faithful than ever before. Thank you, God bless you, and God...
Make America great again, huh? That what y'all trying to tell me that Trump is doing? that Trump is unifying the country? Is that what y'all trying to tell me is going on? You're trying to convince me that I don't see, that I have not been on this earth long enough to recognize the difference between a Donald Trump and, say, a George Bush or a Ronald Reagan? That I'm not been around long enough to remember my parents and my folks earlier than me talking about the Kennedy years, the Johnson years, the Martin Luther King era years. Because if you talk to our folks that I know, they will tell you this, not from the 1960 to 1969 was the closest we had to eliminating racism in this country. Because that's when we fought back. That's when we decided to take a stand. We don't do that no more. We rather talk around and sit around the think tanks. We rather go sit with the president. I never have dinner with the president. I never have dinner with the president. And then Ice Cube goes along and have dinner with the president. Well, again, it's right. That's what they call it. It's their country. And they don't like being called colonizers. They don't like being called immigrants. But again, if they always like to talk about the old country, and I'll use this as a metaphor here. We all like to watch the old mobster movies, the old gangster movies. And what do they say? You can't be a made man if you can't trace your roots back to the old country. Now let's put Donald Trump into this equation and this cult that they're running. This is a mob cult. This is a snatch and grab cult. This is a corrupt regime, regardless if you want to take it or not. You go look at The Godfather from start to finish and then insert the Trump regime right now. And you tell me they would not be one of those 5 mob families. Got $19 trillion for a plane. How much ever have he got for it? And didn't want to fly the motherfucker back home. Imagine that. Taxpayer wasted. And what did Elon Musk say? He was going into the federal government to identify waste, fraud, and abuse. I wonder if he identified that. I got time today, white America. I got time today. Now let's move on from this to our next contestant on This Is You. This is America. Don't catch you slipping. Don't catch you slipping. Here you go.
In Capitol Hill this morning as hundreds of members of the white supremacist group Patriot Front marched through D.C. The group moved throughout neighborhoods in the district wearing face coverings, carrying American and Confederate flags, and it caught many off guard. Our Sarah Robinson spoke with people who woke up to the march and say that they were shocked and unsettled by what they saw.
People living along 6.
Now, maybe this time 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they labeled them as radicals, but they marched down Stone Mountain, Georgia. Yeah, around Stone Mountain, Highway 78 in Georgia. Calling cadence. And for all of you who don't know, that's another thing that the military stole from black folks. There was no such thing as that cadence where you hear that rhythm and that soul, that if I live. Sounds like someone singing to you, keep you in time, keep you marching. That came from the voice of a black man. Before the military would allow us in left, right. But when black people became part of the military, guess what? We gave the military something it lacked. Literal soul. Literal soul. You ask any person that's ever been in the Marine Corps. I can't speak for the Army. I can't speak for the Air Force. I can't speak for the Navy. But you ask him, of all the things you remember about boot camp, you remember that black drill instructor that laid that cadence down, that set him down, leaned back, set him down. My pops he was a drill sergeant. There's a difference. At Fort Jackson. Ole, 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 yeah.
Street near C Street say they woke up to the sound of hundreds of people marching past their homes. At first, they thought it was a parade, so they started taking photos. But their reaction quickly changed to shock and fear when they realized it was the group Patriot Front.
Yeah, that way they don't have to keep them.
My reaction is that's gross. Ew. We don't need that today. The symbols of hate. Mm-hmm.
A group of hundreds of men wearing face coverings, navy blue shirts, and khaki.
Shaw, you're absolutely right. Say it loud. We black and we proud, but these folks ain't proud of who they are. The Klan was never proud of who they were because they always covered themselves. They always called themselves a secret society. You know why? Because you know what? The majority of these folks that are covering them faces, they could be your workmate. They could be somebody that's serving in the military with you. They could be your next door neighbor. They don't want you to know who they are, so they'll cover their faces. They don't want you to know that I could possibly live right next door to you. Smiling faces, sometime pretend to be your friend. Can you dig it? Smiling faces, show no traces of the evil that lurks within. Can you dig it? Cowards. You're absolutely right. Cowards. That's what they are. Cowards.
Was seen marching through the streets of D.C., from Union Station to Eastern Market.
I think I would be curious as to where that where their patriotism comes from and what they think that they're celebrating in America, especially on this weekend.
Get out! The group was seen carrying flags and iconography associated with Patriot Front.
Patriot Front is a white supremacist organization.
Luke Baumgartner is a research fellow with the George Washington University program on extremism.
What's the point today? What's the point?
Now, according to their own FBI statistics, the most violent groups of people in this country right now are these people, like the Proud Boys, like all these other white supremacist groups. These folks are already, listen, if you don't think that these folks are prepared, where the fuck they get all those blue shirts from? Where they get all them white masks from? The only thing they didn't show you this time was their weapons. They learned from their mistakes, folks. They learned what not to do. Don't brandish weapons anymore. That gives the public something to speak on. They can't say that we're not peacefully marching, because now we can revert back to, dare I say, the First Amendment. The right to assembly, the right to freedom of speech. But them folks in Georgia didn't have that right. Them folks that Trump sicked the National Guard on didn't have that right. They called it unlawful protesting. They said, why can't you do peaceful protesting? Well, what is peaceful protesting? Protesting in itself means you don't agree with what's going on. So what's peaceful about that? Peace comes with dialogue, not with protests. If I got to protest, if I got to get out to the streets, that means detente is already way past.
National independence, the representation of the nation's cause and our people's interests.
But they do like to crouch themselves in this patriotic veneer. They use the Betsy Ross flag, they use the red, white, and blue colors to evoke this feeling of Americana, and basically what they're trying to get at is spread their message that America is a place for only white people.
The masked group handed people WUSA 9 spoke with these flyers, stating they, quote, stand against gender hysteria, the murder of the unborn, the corruption of youth, and the assaults against the institution of marriage.
They do.
Again, If you go back to some of my other streams, I spoke about Sambo soldier Delano Squires. I guarantee you, if you go pick up that flyer and you go back to my stream and you listen to Delano Squires and them other Sambo soldiers that was on that platform, you can almost match those words to what they're saying.
Don't want to be identified. They have jobs, they have families. It's unpopular to say, but they are sometimes normal people with.
No, there's nothing normal about this. There's nothing normal about this, because if it was normal, they would not have those masks on. If this was not something that you know that would either cost you your job, your friends, or your family, what's normal about that, sir? See, this is the problem. I have no disrespect to the brother, the brother on the left-hand side of the screen, but this is the problem that I'm having. You're trying to make this as a normal thing. There's nothing normal about getting up out of your fucking bed in the morning and go marching down the street in 100-degree weather with long sleeve shirts on and mask. There's nothing normal about that. Yeah, he said I saw that he posted something again. Angry Man Blackhawk. He's one of those let me see how much money I can make off something kind of guys. So again, dare I say, sometimes folks will see what you're talking about. Folks will go to a smaller stream and they'll pick off your talking your ideas. I'm gonna say your talking points because can anybody pick off my talking points? Words are words. I don't own them. But they'll pick off your ideas. Ain't that right, Sharp? They'll pick off your ideas and use them like they came up with it themselves. Now, the history of Angry Man's channel says it is. All he does is bash women. That's what he does. That is his bread and butter. So how seriously would I take someone like the Angry Man speaking about that young sister surrounded by these white supremacists? Why would I even take him seriously on that? Period. You ain't got nothing to even speak on that. Somebody got mad at me before. I'm gonna speak your name. What's the chick's name that was fucking around with JP? Told me to shut up. You shut up. You shut up. Because you was one of those Angry Man supporters too, even though after he was talking shit. Even though after he flipped the script on y'all, you still supported it.
Careers and lives, and being publicly identified with groups like this puts that at risk.
Yeah, Blackhawk, I don't know why that bothered me so much, but it really did. I was in Taz's chat that day, and when the best thing you can do is, if you don't like what someone says, instead of telling somebody to shut up, especially a grown fucking man, to shut up because you don't like his comments, just ignore him. That really, like I said before, that really chapped my ass. Of all the things that these loose niggas have said to you over the days, I have never disrespected this chick. That's why I said everybody gets it today. Heard somebody else over there saying I'm not a protector of black women. Can you think of a better prospect of saying I jump on panels trying to get in front of these niggas who be up there talking shit, calling y'all the B word and all that? That's why I stopped doing it, because it's not appreciated anymore. Fuck it. You're on your own. That's why I stopped doing it. I had somebody, because I was exposing BGS for telling grown black men to go out there and getting around their children to get to the mama. I had somebody try to dox me, try to dox my information, came onto my platform, trying to put my all of my personal information out like they had a right to do so. I know who you was, bitch. These Sambo soldiers that will try and get in the way because you try to correct. Listen, I'm not trying to correct anybody. I didn't say what BGS said, so why the fuck was you mad at me? I didn't tell him to go out there and befriend some child that's 8, 9, 10 years old so they can get to the mama that end up next week on some PDF file, whatchamacallit. That wasn't me. Y'all women's better watch your ass around me from now on, because it ain't no more holding back. And I didn't say women. I said women's.
DC Police sent WUSA 9 a statement on the march saying in part, quote, MPD recognizes the rights of individuals to peacefully express their views and remains committed to maintaining public safety. Neighbors.
Now, have y'all noticed anything yet now that they mentioned the police? Did you see any? Did you see any police anywhere around? And to see it at those men with those masks on. But if 5 black men get together on a corner store, the police is surrounding us. KO, what men are you? What men are you saying God bless to? Those ones walking around with the mask on. So you're one of them. Are you one of those? Are you saying God bless those men? Are you one of those? Let me know what side of the street you're on. Don't be afraid. Speak up. You were bold enough to come over and type that. Now say which men are you blessing? Don't be afraid. Get your punishment. You put it down there. I know what you're talking about, but I want to see if you're bold enough to say, I'm talking about them patriot guys. I'm talking about those guys with the mask on their face. God bless them. That what you're trying to say? I hope they, wait a minute. Oh, great spirits of the black community, please invoke the power of Samuel L. Jackson to my voice. You said God bless them men? Fuck them. I hope they burn in hell.
Tell me they are thankful that the march passed without any major confrontations or acts of violence, and they're hoping the rest of the holiday weekend remains peaceful. Reporting in Capitol Hill, I'm Sarah Robinson, WUSA 9.
Well, we know that the whole holiday wasn't peaceful because we had mass shootings all over the place. And somebody brought that up. We had these mass shootings in Chicago. We had these mass shootings here. And we're neglecting that white kids, white teenagers running around shooting folks in the back for no fucking reason. It's funny how you white supremacists can find those clips. It's funny how Angry Man, you can find those clips. It's funny Cellulite, how you can find those clips. It's funny Obsidian, how you can find those clips. It's funny the Rogers report, how y'all can find these clips. It's funny DDS, how you can find those clips, but y'all can't find a single clip of a white kid doing nothing wrong.
Today, an alarming scene unfolded in Capitol Hill this morning as
Capitol Hill, an alarming scene unfolded. Let's move on. Let's not even talk about that booger bear. Listen, again, I don't hold no. Listen, I don't know what that chick be thinking, but you would think, Black Hawk, that after that debacle, that she went through a Grandmaster Trash or Grandmaster Troll, where he put out all her information, you would think the last thing that she would do is get back on the internet. But every stream that I go to, whether I'm in the clouds and I look down in the stream over there, and who's up on there? The bug-eyed princess. Everybody gets it today. White supremacists, Sambo soldiers, and Sambo sisters as well. All of y'all get it today. Let me take this off the screen and move on. Tell you I got time today. Normally, to vent my frustration, I listen to music. Fuck that. Not today. I'm not going to spoil my music, with that. Let's what we got here. What's next on the list here? What we got next here? Okay, they always spouting religion, right? They're always talking about they are Christians, and Christians bring everybody into the folds. Well, guess what? There's some pastors out there, white pastors out there, that not only believe that black folks were created in the image of God, they even believe that they should, if they die, we can't even go to heaven. That's not even a place for us. First, they tell us we can't eat the lunch counters. Now you got pastors saying we can't even come to the pearly gates. Look.
God, do you believe that Asian people are made in the image of God?
It depends what you mean by the image of God. I mean, people walk around like hands, eyes, nose. Yeah, I mean, they're
okay, let me rephrase.
Monkeys, the eyes, nose. I mean, you could almost say they're made in the image of God. So no,
well, we know.
I'm talking about the spirit. The spirit is not in the image of God.
Well, we know that obviously animals don't have the image of God. Let me rephrase the question. Do you believe?
Michael Knight. Just pretend like I'm Kit right now. Hey, Michael. Hey, Michael. I think we've all have done that, Michael. You as a human species, you all have fallacies. There's a whole lot of you, Michael, that you have lied, you have stolen, Michael. You have cheated before, you have lusted before, Michael. So, Michael, if any of you that cast the first stone, let him go ahead and throw it. Have you not? But that's what they call forgiveness. You ask Jesus, God, whoever you pray to, for forgiveness for the things that you have done. As they say, Michael, they said that the guy that you worship as Jesus or God or whoever says he sent his son to die on the cross for you, for your sins, Michael. So I ask you, Michael, are you good enough? Heaven. We all misspell something. I do it frequently sometimes. Are you good enough for heaven, Michael? Have you lied before? Have you stolen before? Have you ever lusted or hated anyone before?
That black people can go to heaven?
Well, first off, the only one you guarantee eternal life, those who give their life to the Lord. So nobody goes to heaven because they have a certain color. So say white people don't go to heaven if they don't have a relationship with the Lord.
Right.
So you can't say black people don't go to heaven. Do white people go to heaven? No, white people don't go to heaven either. It has that relationship with the Lord. Now, do black people can have that same relationship with the Lord? I don't believe so. So they can have a relationship, but it's the same relationship. All through the Bible, okay, Israel, God always refers to himself over 200 times, referred to the mighty God of Israel, the Father of Israel, so forth. No, not a single time where non-Israelites, he referred to himself as a father as their father. Every time it's only of Israel.
So if you don't
see again, they all be careful of what you're listening to, because these guys will try and confuse you with a whole lot of crosstalk. But y'all heard that for yourself. What's up there, OG Kicks? How you living, my man? Good to see you. But y'all heard that for yourself. But see, this is what I'm trying to point out. If you look in Congress, if you look at the people that's running the country, if you look at the shadow presence that's got on doing all this stuff, they're all of this age. They're passing this information on to somebody. We as black folks won't be able to hold counsel with God, is basically what he's saying. After saying that God don't know color, that after he's saying that even if white people don't follow the commandments, they don't get it. But we can't even have counsel. We don't even meet that standard according to him. And this probably has a congregation that he preaches to like that every Sunday. Every Sunday. And this is my brother, this is why they tried to remove Egypt out of Africa, for that reason alone. If you took California and New York out of the United States, would it still be the United States?
I don't think that they can have the same relationship with God that you have, then that would imply that they don't go to heaven, right?
If you're saying that, I'm not saying that. I don't know.
Of course.
Well, I feel like that's what you're implying. I'm just asking, just out of curiosity.
I don't know. I don't, because the Bible, God, He came to Israel. He came to Israel. He said in Genesis 1, He shall save His people from their sins. In that scripture I started read here a little bit ago.
Only a couple months old, and I'm hoping that we can reach 1,000 subs. Once we do that, we will be having panels. So if you want to be a member of one of those panels, go ahead and like, share, comment, and subscribe. And then what we're going to do is review your favorite episodes as a panel. Can you imagine hating a particular group so much that you are willing to misinterpret the Bible, the Holy Bible, and make up your own version of Christianity that excludes black people? And by the way, this is not something that's...
Now, Sark Passe, this is why I understand why folks like you say, I am not worried about it, because if we look at the Bible as it's what you call it, if everything is on board, what's the need for all the different versions? Why were all the books cut out of it? Again, that's me. That's why I never say I'm religious. Not me. I have faith. I got to have faith, because something tells me that even though they say that man hands created this, somebody had to give man the intuition to create this chair that I'm sitting in, to create this microphone that I'm sitting in, to create this they call it fiber optics, that where I'm able to sit on the internet and talk to people in Israel. And it's less than what, 30 years old. So imagine what kind of hate, like my man said, that you got to have for black people to not understand that what we're doing right now, if the way we communicate, without black people in your midst, we wouldn't have this. When y'all brought white people from different countries, guess what y'all brought them over here? To create an atomic bomb to where you could go drop it on another country.
It's just this sort of small fringe group. This is a very large group of people in America. And now I understand why Sunday is the most segregated, that Sunday morning during church is the most segregated hour in America, as they say. Because you do have some white evangelical Christian churches that exclude black people. They believe that black people can't go to heaven, that black people are not made in the image of God. And that's awfully strange when you look at the book of Genesis, because it clearly places the Europeans, or the countries that would be Europe, into the Isles of the Gentiles. It does that at the very beginning of the Bible. However, somehow, some way, you have pastors that have placed Europe and Europeans at the center of the Holy Bible, even though the majority of it takes place in Northeast Africa. Now, for this episode, I'm not here to debate.
Again, one of the reasons why I say this is a religious thing when it comes to, let's remove Egypt out of Africa. And why you think so many historians and so many archaeologists, why they go to that part of the world when it comes to finding religious artifacts? There has to be a starting point for everything. We don't know where the human race will end, but we're smart enough now to know where it began. And we know it did not begin in the caves of the Caucasus Mountains, as they like to say. We know it did not begin over in Europe somewhere. We know it did not begin in France somewhere. We know it didn't begin in Russia somewhere. And that's actually a great point there, El Boogie. Whites, y'all haven't been around that long. The man that what we call Jesus, the letter J wasn't invented into this alphabet until the 16th century. So what did you call him before that? That is a legitimate question, don't you think? If you didn't have J, What did you call them before that?
Christianity. As a matter of fact, I haven't debated people on religion since I was in my late 20s. So it's not something I do for my own reasons. However, we are looking at the racial element of it. What
is that what they call him, short dude? What's up, dude? Let me go pray to that dude over there.
would make someone hate black people so much that they would take it upon themselves to exclude us from any talks of God or heaven? I don't want to spend too much time on a region. I believe that most Bible scholars agree that most of the events in the Bible take place in East and Northeast Africa, right? And what they call the Middle East today as well. But there's just a few things that I wanted to point out because I wanted to ask the question, since people are so racist that they're excluding us from heaven or what their idea of heaven would be, then do racist people who are that racist, do they go to heaven? And I'm not talking about people who just have some racial bias, because being born and raised in America, everyone has a little bit of racial bias in their subconscious.
Absolutely.
At least I believe. But there are actually two very heavy scriptures that often get ignored by racist people. One is when the so-called followers of Jesus, some of the so-called followers of Jesus, approach him and say, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we cast out demons? Didn't we do these works? He says, depart from me. I've never known you. Because he's seeing them and seeing that these are people who run around saying Jesus, 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 but simultaneously are evil, hateful.
You can't speak it no more than that. And that's exactly what's going on today. I wanted to get to that part right here, because at the end of every Republican speech or somewhere in that speech, and then Trump or somebody else, they always invoke the name Jesus. So right now, ask yourself, if Trump was to die today, would he know Jesus? For all you religious people out there that call yourself Christians, that believe in that good Bible that you say, is Trump a good Christian? Is Stephen Miller a good Christian? No, they're not. They absolutely are not. And y'all know that. A side-eyed white Christian. Absolutely, Southpaw say. Side-eyed. Shade tree. You only use it when it's beneficial to you. But I could swear in the Bible it says, love thy neighbor. Maybe that's why they don't want to live next to black people, because the Bible tells them that you have to love the person that's next to you. I don't know. I don't know what's in the mind of some of these racists that will invoke Jesus in the same sentence that they say that black people are lower than them or less than them. I don't know, but let's move on. Move on to the next thing here. Remove that. Uh-oh. There we go. Now let's go here. Let's bring up something else here that's a little bit closer to home. Now, again, if you're in your 50s, then your 60s, 70s, and on up, you remember there's a late night show called The Dick Cavett Show. And if you don't know anything about this guy, well, go ahead.
Professor Paul Weiss, the Sterling Professor of Philosophy at Yale. Were you able to listen to the show backstage?
I heard a good deal of it, but then I was behind the rostrum here.
Yes.
So I heard only some of it.
Did you hear anything that you disagreed with?
I disagreed with a great deal of it. And, of course, there's a good deal I agree with. But I think...
if you don't know, if you didn't know who that face was, that's Dr. James Baldwin. He was so fed up with this country that he left it, along with so many other folks. They left this country. And, you know, nowadays, as you see, there's a whole lot of black people leaving this country because they're fed up with it. And I was having a conversation with someone, and I said, you know, in my younger days, knowing what I know now, yes, I would pack my shit up and get the hell out of the United States. And so this is what I'm going to tell my young brethren and young sisters. If you have the means, the motive, and the opportunity to go to another part of the world, do so. I've been to Denmark. I've been to Korea. I've been to Japan. I've been to Aalborg, Germany. I've been to Norway. And all those places that I've been to that I just mentioned, the N word never came out of anyone's mouth. Not once. I remember going to Copenhagen and catching a bus there, going to another town called Herning, a little dressmaker town outside of Copenhagen. Got on the bus, me and about 5, 6 other, as we called ourselves back in those days, dark green Marines. And there were some children on the bus that had never laid eyes on black folks before. They were amazed. Because all the stories that they heard of black folks about us were negatives. Every one of them. So when they saw for themselves firsthand that black folks don't have tails, as they said in some other things, that black folks are not monkeys, that others said, they were amazed. Some of this stuff that you'll hear in the news and in the movies, it's not folklore, it's truth. There were white Americans over in other parts of the world telling other folks that looked similar to them that we had tails. That we were cannibals. That we were uncivilized. Now let's see what he disagreed with.
He's overlooking one very important matter, I think. Each one of us, I think, is terribly alone. He lives his own individual life. There's all kinds of obstacles in the way of religion or color or size or shape or lack of ability, and the problem is to become a man.
But what I was discussing was not that problem, really. I was discussing the difficulties, the obstacles, the very real danger of death thrown up by the society when a black man attempts to become a man.
All this emphasis upon black man and white does emphasize something which is here, but it emphasizes it or perhaps exaggerates it, and therefore makes us put people together in groups which they ought not to be in. I have more in common with a black scholar than I have with a white man who's against scholarship.
Okay, if that's the truth, before we hear Dr. James Baldwin speak, if that's the case, why was folks like you and in your generation did not want to have black folks educated? That you didn't want black folks in your schools? There is no way that you can tell me that you and Dr. James Baldwin would sit down for a cup of coffee. Not with the ideology that I'm hearing from you. Absolutely no way. And this is another thing. This addresses the trolls that came in here earlier. And this one, I would consider this man on the screen here as a troll as well. Because you trolls come in here or get up on these TV screens and think that you are smarter than the average black man. And when you get a taste of, no, you're not, that same tail that you say we have, you tuck and run.
And you have more in common with a white author than you have with someone who's against all literature. So why must we always concentrate on color or on religion or this? There are other ways of connecting men.
I'll tell you this. When I left this country in 1948, I left this country for one reason only, one reason. I didn't care where I went. I might have gone to Hong Kong, I might have gone to Timbuktu. I ended up in Paris, on the streets of Paris, with $40 in my pocket on the theory that nothing worse could happen to me there than it already happened to me here. You talk about making it as a writer by yourself.
And I can honestly speak to that because that's why I brought that up for. And no one can deny me the fact that in the Marine Corps, I traveled the world. The only place I was ever considered a threat or a nuisance was here. January 2nd, 1982, I had on a military Marine Corps dress blue uniform. Imagine being stopped by the North Charleston police and saying that you fit the description. in a uniform, in a Marine Corps dress blue uniform. I fit what description? So the only thing that he could possibly do to me, and I remember this policeman's face like it was yesterday. The only thing that he could possibly do to humiliate me was to have me lay on the ground while it was raining and fuck up my uniform. So when people tell me there's no such thing as racism in this country, I can revert back to 2 times where I can tell you you're full of shit. Another time, my friend Carl Williams, I was a young boy then, didn't understand what the concept of death was. And Carl didn't either. He didn't understand the danger that he put himself in by being outside after the lights went on. If you live from the South, and you know if you live near a radio tower, your parents taught you, when you see that red light come on, have your black ass where I can see you. If it's not in the house, it's in the yard. Carl made the mistake of one day of lingering outside his yard too long. That was his only thing he did wrong, other than his skin color. So when people tell me that James Baldwin and other entertainers left this country because of racism, and then you got some white racist guy trying to tell him, no, you're wrong about that. All you got to do is be a man. This is what scares you, the man that you're talking to. You want this man to be a boy. You want me to be a boy. You want me to bow down to you. And them days has been long over. You tried to hide this guy from us. How many of y'all in high school ever heard of Dr. James Baldwin in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade? Any of you? If your parents didn't tell you about him, did you know of him?
You had to be able then to turn off all the antenna with which you live, because once you turn your back on this society, you may die. You may die. And it's very hard to sit at a typewriter and concentrate on that if you're afraid of the world around you. The years I lived in Paris did one thing for me. They released me from that particular social terror, which was not the paranoia of my own mind, but a real social danger visible in the face of every cop, every boss, everybody.
And those are not stock photos there, folks. And that look at this. Again, people say things change. No, I say the more things change, the more they stay the same. Look at this. Why would these men be out in their underwear? For what reason would you have these men lined up in their underwear?
I don't know what most white people in this country feel, but I can only include what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. I know, as Malcolm X once put it, that the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday. That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means...
Okay, folks, let me read something. Someone sent me something, and I'll be quite honest with you. I thought the person that sent it to me wrote it. But again, knowledge don't come to you. You got to go get it. And sometimes, every once in a while, knowledge does come to you. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Hold on just a second. Let me go and pull this up. It was sent to me on this one. This is a direct quote from Malcolm X, okay? Hold on just a second. I got to scroll all the way down till I get it. All right. Here we go. This is a direct quote from Malcolm X. If the white people really passed meaningful laws, it would not be necessary to pass any more laws. There are already enough laws on the law books to protect an American citizen. Notice, to protect an American citizen. You only need additional laws when you are dealing with someone who is not regarded as an American citizen, whites are so hypocritical that they don't want to admit this black man is not an American citizen. And so they classify him as a second-class citizen. The Constitution did that. They classify him as a second-class citizen to get around making him a real citizen. If he were a real citizen, there would be no need for laws. You would not need no civil rights legislation. Excuse me. When you have civil rights, you have citizenship. It's automatic. White men don't need laws to protect their citizenship. They're already a citizen. But they won't tell us that we are not citizens. And at the same time, they don't want to pass laws that are meaningful enough to protect us as if we were citizens. The Supreme Court, desegregation is the best example. We're going to speak on that. It's the best example that I know of them telling us. And I'm paraphrasing from here on. But Malcolm wrote that some years ago. And he's absolutely right. In 1963, he was right then and he's right now. If we all are American citizens, there should be law for one set of citizens. There would be no need for the 13th Amendment. There would be no need for the 14th Amendment. There would be no reason for civil rights laws. There would be none of that if you, as white America, considered us full-fledged American citizens. You have to remind yourself, if from time to time, by passing a law here or passing a law there, that they are American citizens, you know. Or like someone came in there early telling me to go back to whatever country I came from. I came from this country. Is Kentucky in another country? I was born in Fort Knox. That sure should hold some special meaning to a lot of y'all. Fort Knox, ain't that where they keep the gold? I'm one of them gold standard babies. I still can't get no respect like Roger Dangerfield. Just don't no respect at all.
Means that I can't afford to trust most white Christians and certainly cannot trust the Christian church. I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their unions. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks they give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.
Have never seen. You want me to put our trust, our faith, our hopes, an American dream that since in the last 250 years, you have tried to wipe us out of. You want to tell me that I lay in the same playing field that you play in. When everything I see in front of me in the life that I've lived as an American citizen, everything that I see, not all things, but enough things to tell me that my ancestors, those folks that came before me, caught hell in this country. And it also tells me that the people that I leave behind is going to catch hell as well. And speaking of leaving folks behind, Brother Malcolm.
In our discussion of minority groups, we have with us two guests. One is Minister Malcolm X. Shabazz, one of the top leaders of the Nation of Islam, or the so-called Black Muslims.
So-called.
And we also have Mr. Herman Blake.
Or the so-called Black Muslims, not even given their religious ideology respect. And you thought y'all thought that Angry Man was something that was new. Y'all thought that Angry Man and the BGSs and the rest of them Sambo soldiers was something new. This shit was going on. I told y'all, them Sambo soldiers came on the boat with us. Here's one that was born, that was around in the 60s. Watch.
One of the teaching assistants in the course. We will discuss today some of the goals and some of the strategies of the Nation of Islam. And I wonder if Mr. Blake might start it off by asking Mr. Shabazz a question.
Minister Malcolm, the thing that I thought might be good for starting it off is to talk about one of the most pervasive beliefs in the general society about the Nation of Islam, and that is that it is an organization dedicated to the use of violent means to attain its goals. The question I have is, how true is this, and why do you think it persists in society?
Well, the Muslims who have accepted the religion of Islam and follow the religious guidance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad have never bombed any churches, have never murdered any little girls, as was done in Birmingham, have never lynched anybody, have never at any time been guilty of initiating any aggressive acts of violence during the entire 33 years or more that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been teaching us. The charge of violence against us actually is from the complex that exists.
And El Boogie, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you. A lot of this information that we're seeing now was collected not for us, but to use against us. And unfortunately, Malcolm X found that out the hardest way of all. He paid for those infidels, those interlopers, those intruders. He paid with his life. And absolutely, El Boogie. A lot of talking, but no progress. That's why I said it's time for the think tanks. It's time for this. Get up from the table. We done enough talking. Did you see the Proud Boys sitting around at their tables? Are they out actively doing what they believe in? Whether you agree with what they believe in or not, do you see them sitting around in think tanks, or do you see them out there actually? Them fuckers was on the subway. So you're absolutely right, El Boogie.
This in the conscious and subconscious minds of most white people in this country. They know that they've been violent in their brutality against Negroes. And they feel that someday the Negro is going to wake up and try and do unto them as they have do unto the whites as the whites have done unto us. We aren't a violent group. We are taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to obey the law, to respect everyone who respects us. We're taught to display courtesy, to be polite. But we're also taught that at any time anyone in any way inflicts or seeks to inflict violence upon us, we are within our religious rights to retaliate in self-defense to the maximum degree of our ability. We never initiate any violence upon anyone. But if anyone attacks us, we reserve the right to defend ourselves. So to accuse us of being violent is like accusing a man who is being lynched, who is being hung on a tree, simply because he struggles vigorously against his lyncher. The victim is accused of violence, but the lyncher is never accused of violence. And I only point this out because the various racist groups that are set up in this country by whites and who have actually practiced violence against blacks for 400 years are never associated or identified or made synonymous with the term violence. But whites speak of Muslims almost synonymously with violence. Whenever Muslims are mentioned by them, violence is brought up. But it's not connected with any other group. This is a sort of a propaganda tactic, or what I would call psychological warfare, to in some way make the image of the Muslims in this country be a violent image rather than a religious image.
I'd like to ask a question in that regard. What's interesting is that members of the Nation of Islam have not used violence.
Now let me tell you what just happened, folks. Did y'all not see that transaction? Y'all did not see, not transaction, but transition. Let's go back. I want y'all to pay attention to what just happened. Let me see if y'all catch it.
Tactic, or what I would call psychological warfare, to in some way make the image of the Muslims in this country be a violent image rather than a religious image.
I'd like to ask a question in that regard.
Look at the Sambo soldier. Look how he shrinks. Look how his handler takes over because how Malcolm just dismantled him eloquently as he possibly could. And see, this is the difference between these Sambo soldiers of the day and back then and then. At least they had a little decorum. At least they would take the time to listen. Go over there on the Angry Man's platform and see if he'll listen to you about when he's wrong. You're out your mind. See, what you're not going to say is, go over there and listen to BGS. They call him the master teacher, the master ass wiper, BGS, bubblegum, already been chewed. Lost his flavor a long time ago. This motherfucker still running around chasing Pam Grier.
What's interesting is that members of the Nation of Islam have not used violence even when black Americans were attacked. How do you account for this? Does this in any way contradict some of the basic premises of your movement?
I don't know how you mean.
Well, you maintain, for example, that you will not or that you should not use violence unless you are attacked by the white man. And I think we can note in the last several years, certainly, dozens and dozens and dozens of instances in which Negroes have been attacked.
But they won't hear that. They won't hear that white man right there saying, for years and years and years, we can put our finger on dozens and dozens of instances where black people have been attacked and y'all haven't done nothing. So what the fuck why would we stop? And that goes back to your point, L Boogie. When we gonna stop talking? This was in 1963. They were whipping ass back then. 2026, they still whipping ass. This is 1963 there, man. Hey there, Big J. What's going on, big brother?
Killed in some instances.
You mean in these demonstrations?
The demonstrations and the bombings, for example, recently in Birmingham where they killed 4 little Negro girls. And what interests me is the fact is that the Nation of Islam has not done anything to retaliate.
I think you should be happy.
The important thing is...
And he's right. I think you should be happy that black people showed a level of restraint when those 4 little girls were killed in Birmingham, because you saw what happened in 1965 in the Watts riots when black people said they had enough, burnt up everything. They burnt up everything. So you know what they did? They learned their lesson from that. Remember the move in 1985? What did they do to the movement in 1985? What did they do? They blew up an entire city block. They sat out and wait for folks. They set the building on fire, wait for folks to come out, and shot them as they came out. Unarmed. Shot them as they came out. And tried to say they all perished in the fire. Well, now they have forensic evidence to show that some of the folks that came out of that building died not from smoke inhalation, didn't die from the fire, they died from bullets. So to cover that up, what they said, well, they must have committed suicide. Well, who shoots themselves at the door while trying to run? Only the David Koresh followers did that. They blew them up too, didn't they? So the United States of America will stick to this idea that we've never dropped bombs on our own. But you have. Twice, at least twice. 1920s and in the 1980s. At least twice. You dropped bombs on your own citizens. If you know the group Gap Band, the song that they sang, "You Dropped the Bomb on Me," was about that.
Does your lack of action contradict any of your basic principles?
I'll explain it. You should be happy that Muslims who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, number one, don't believe in any form of integration, and who believe that every mention of the word integration by whites, whether it be from the mouth of Kennedy on down to the mouth of the lowest, raggediest white liberal in the street who is beatnik-like involving himself in these integration efforts, if we believed in it, we would integrate, and we would fight anybody who got in our way or made any effort whatsoever to stop us from integrating. If we really believed that the law of the land, the Supreme Court, and other so-called judicial bodies were for real when they talked about integration, we would integrate. And knowing that the law was on our side, in any effort we made to demonstrate toward integration, why, we would know the law should be on our side, if it's the law of the land. If it is the law of the land, then the demonstrators are within the law, and the discriminators are against the law. But to show you the hypocrisy of the law, when Negroes demonstrate for integration, instead of arresting the discriminators, the law arrests the demonstrators. So this is a fool.
And if you're around, you don't have to have been around in the 1960s or the 1970s. There's actual footage of what Malcolm just said. It wasn't the it wasn't they got a right to peaceful protest. It wasn't the protester that was sicking the dogs on the policemen. It wasn't the protesters that was turning on these high pressure water cannons on teenagers. It was the police. It was the oppressors trying to tell black folks that you don't have the right to march for the right to vote. You don't have the right to march to be properly educated in this country. You don't have the right to march for economic prosperity. And when you do march, we're going to put these dogs on you, and we're going to turn these hoses on you. You ain't got to go back to 1963, 64, 60s, and 80s, in the 68, 69, 70. You ain't got to go back. There's footage of it. You ain't got to be, you don't have to be reminded of what Bloody Sunday was. There's footage of it. You want to know who Bull Connor is? It gives your whole Wikipedia, tell you every nasty aspect of that man's life. But you, as white America, you refuse to go and pick up that book that'll educate you on some of the heroes that you have weren't heroes. They'll be in hell.
Foolish move on the part of Negroes. And when you foolishly get yourself involved with an enemy, then whatever comes upon you, that's your business. As Muslims, we believe that separation is the best way and the only sensible way, not integration. And but on the other hand, when we see our people being brutalized by white bigots, white racists, we think that they are foolish to allow themselves to be beaten and brutalized and do nothing whatsoever to protect themselves. They are foolish. They should have the right to defend themselves against any attack made against them by anyone. If a dog is biting a black man, the black man should kill the dog. Whether the dog is a police dog, a hound dog, or any kind of dog. If a dog is sick on a black man, when that black man is doing nothing but trying to take advantage of what the government says is supposed to be his, then that black man should kill that dog or any two-legged dog who sicks the dog on it.
Should other black men help that particular person who was attacked?
I think you'll find, sir, that there will come a time when black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves as other humans.
And I hope that you they call yourself YNs, I hope y'all heard that. We tried it in the 60s, but y'all believed that like they told us, we was not going to be like our grandparents. We believe that generation that came out from those folks of the 60s. We're not going to be like them. But it turns out that y'all are just like your grandparents. All the promise that you made of equal opportunity and prosperity for all and all that other stuff and in the 80s and the 90s, you are your grandparents of the 60s and the 50s and the 70s. You are your grandparents. And in some cases, your grandparents are still running shit. Matter of fact, some of y'all's great-grandparents are still running shit. How old is Mitch McConnell? Like I said, show us a proof of life right now. Is Mitch McConnell alive or dead? Which one is it? A little bit more here.
Are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black...
I'm sorry, Brother Malcolm. Brother Malcolm, I know that that seems like maybe back in '63, but we got too many angry mans out here right now. And angry man, if you ever listen to this, the reason why I use this, because you identify yourself as Beano, black in name only, thinking that you're helping the community. Cellulite, same with you. I don't have nothing against y'all personally. I have everything against what y'all speak, what y'all stand for, and what you speak about. I don't know you on a personal level, so all I can go by is the fact that last year, this time, Cellulite, you was on the Trump train. You was on the MAGA train. You was talking about the EBT islands and shit like that. You was in there talking about the ghettos of Black America, or we reaching for handouts, or we skimming off the government, or we living off the government, not doing the research and knowing that the majority of people in this country that receive welfare is white. Running around talking about black on black crime when white people kill white people at damn near the same rate that black people kill black people. Again, it's not you as the man personally, it's your talking point, it's your ideology that you put in front of me. Brother Malcolm?
Thinking will cause all black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it. No federal court, state court, or city court will bring an end to it. It's something that the black man has to bring an end to himself.
That's something that we have, as black men, have to bring, because we see what the Supreme Court did. You see how they gutted out Section 5 and Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and all that other stuff. We saw the Ray Sambo as in Clarence Thomas that led the charge for that. So as a collective, as long as we have Sambo soldiers like Clarence Thomas, we're never going to be a collective. So it goes back to the same thing. If you are young enough in this country right now to pack your shit up and leave and go find you someplace to where people don't judge you by the color of your skin, only by your merits. People don't look at you and say, you ain't qualified for this just because your name is LaQuisha. I'm not saying there's not racism in the other countries. But I bet you in some countries that you go to, you find it few and far between of it. Now, let's move on here. Let's bring it up a little bit more modern here. I don't know if you folks know who Dr. Eddie Glaude is. but I want y'all to listen to him. I brought out the heavyweights today, folks.
Now.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. This week, as the United States is getting ready to celebrate its 250th anniversary, we begin our series on reckoning with the dark legacies of this country's history with a new book by the public intellectual, Princeton University African-American Studies professor Eddie Glaude, Jr. The book is called America, USA, How Race Shadows the Nation's Anniversaries, a blistering look at the stories we tell ourselves about our past and present. The book centered around the major celebrations of the United States milestone birthdays.
Now, I want you to look at the difference for those of you around in 1976. I know there wasn't nobody around 1776, but for those of you around in 1976 that remember the patriot, I wasn't quite, I think I might have been right at becoming a teenager right about that time. But you gotta look at the, how do I say this? The difference in this celebration and that celebration. Coins was being commemorated. Everybody had to get that quarter, that $50 that says 1776 to 1976 on it. That's a keepsake. Now we look at what Trump did. He pretty much hijacked your 250th celebration as a nation for his own purposes. If you saw what went on this past weekend, people passing out, shit falling down, all kind of things not working, no air conditioning, folks had to walk. What happened to all that money y'all put into Donald Trump and this so-called 250th celebration? Money was used elsewhere for other things. He got y'all again under the guise of you being patriots. P.T. Barnum said it best. Sucker born every fucking minute.
From 1876, 1926, 1976, now the 250th in 2026. And in each time, an enduring refusal to face its true history. Eddie Glaude is professor of African American Studies at Princeton University. His previous books include Begin Again, James Baldwin's America and Its Urgent Lessons for Our Own, and Democracy in Black, How Race Still Enslaves the American Soul. Professor Glaude's latest book.
And for those folks that like to read, I would suggest you put this on your must-read list. All three of these books, especially this one in front of you, Democracy in Black.
America, USA, How Race Shadows the Nation's Anniversaries, opens with the words, I do not love America and never have, especially now. Professor Glaude, welcome to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us.
It's such a pleasure to be back and to see you.
So start with those words.
Yeah.
Talk about why you opened your book in that way.
Yeah, you know, it was an initial moment of fear and trepidation, and I had to say it. I wanted to announce that I have no interest in the idolatry of the state, that I'm more interested in loves closer to the ground, ordinary people. But I also had to foreground the wound, my own interior experience. You know, as a growing, my dad was the second African-American hired at the post office in Pascagoula, Mississippi, and he moved his family in Moss Point from one side of town to the other.
And see, again, this is little tidbits like that, folks. Only time you hear white folks say they were the first at something is if there was some new building or some new invention. But we, as black people, we have to carry that moniker. The first black president, the first black person to graduate from Yale, the first black person to have a TV series, the first black person to do this, the first black person to do that. Why? If this country is so built on equality and the American dream. Why we always got to use this moniker of being the first black person to do anything? In 2026, there should be no such thing as the first black person to do something. It should be the first person to do something. Still prevalent. 2026, 250 years of being the first black person. Chris Bixade was the first black person shot in a Revolutionary War. That's a hell of a lineage, isn't it?
And I've told this story in Democracy in Black. I'm playing with my Tonka truck and with my new friend, and his dad came out and said, "Stop playing with that N-word." And at that moment, America told me what it thought about me.
Glenn Gardner, if you're out there, if you ever got listening to this, remember what your uncle and aunt told you when we went to your house? Get that N-word out of my yard, and don't you never bring him back here again. Get that N-word out of my yard. That didn't stop me and Glenn from being friends, did it, Glenn? We just know not to go to your house. And to this day, even through that, Glenn, I knew that's not who you were. I knew that's who your people were. And I never held that against you, because I knew that's not who you were.
And then I took my truck and went inside, and my parents went to work to keep me from believing what the world said about me.
How did they do that?
Oh, they put a crown above my head. You know, they told me that, you know, I come out of a grand tradition, that my life was my own to create, that there's something wrong with them in a way. And that was affirmed when I went to Morehouse and the like. So I'm always puzzled when people think I should love the country. They expect gratitude, when I'm more interested in loving the people who make the country what it is.
So let's talk first about the title.
Yeah.
America, USA, How Race Shadows the Nation's Anniversaries. Why America, USA?
Well, it's, you know, I'm a professor. I have all of these folks coming, you know, I read all the time, and, you know, you and I were talking about John Dos Passos. Is it Dos Passos or Dos Passos? And, you know, his trilogy, his classic trilogy, USA, where he looks at the 42nd parallel and 1919 and Big Money, is supposed to be this epic account of the country, and it fails when it comes to the issue of race during that period. But also I'm trying to think about the division, the divided soul of the country, the comma instead of the hyphen. This split, this idea that America imagines itself as a beacon of freedom and as a white race.
Now again, something like that might have went over the head of, what's his name? Slick Nick, or whatever. Something like that would have went over the head of Slick Nick. So let me repeat that for you, Slick Nick, just in case you might come back in here. There's the big difference between a hyphen and a comma. A comma separates. A hyphen lets you know that you're together. That might be a little bit too much for you. I'll let you marinate on that one for a little bit. I told you the most dangerous thing to the United States Klan member or white supremacists is folks like Dr. Eddie Glaude and folks like me and folks like you. We weren't supposed to be this smart, folks. We weren't supposed to be this educated.
Republic. And the comma represents that contradiction between these two different versions of the nation, and how it deposits, Amy, a kind of madness at the heart of the country that we experience in these cycles repeatedly over and over again.
Let's go back to 1776. What does it mean to you? What do you teach in class?
Yeah. Now, this is extraordinary explosion of democratic energy at a certain level, right? It's this idea that explodes onto the scene, that everyday people don't have to be subject to monarchical rule, that they can engage in self-governance. But it's also deeply contradictory because it's wrapped in the horrors of slavery. right? And so 1776 for me is this moment of profound complexity and contradiction, right? Where you have this idea that everyday ordinary people can engage in self-governance, but it happens alongside of the horrific relationship between the trafficking of black bodies and the introduction of the modern world.
Absolutely, Dr. God. Let me add to that by saying this. If you look at the Constitution, if you go to the Constitution and look at whatever the star-spangled banner, and you look at those two documents, they go out of their way to identify black men, or at this time slaves. It's not included. And the Constitution took three or four of us to make one. In the third stanza of the Star-Spangled Banner, what does Francis Scott Key write? There'd be no refuge for the slave. Go into the description that I put down there, and you can read it verbatim. For those who helped the British, for those who was to help the British, there'll be no refuge for you. You're going to be put to death.
And these things are happening all at once. Colonial settlers, all this stuff is happening at once. So we have to unpack that date for what it represents in some ways.
So you talk a lot about Philly. You've spent a lot of time there.
Yeah.
You're a Princeton University professor in New Jersey, and I was just in Philadelphia. A National Park Service exhibit about slavery has been the subject of months-long court battle between the city of Philadelphia and the federal government.
Now, if you go back earlier to what we were talking about, the one guy, he told you, if nothing else, let us take them. When we try to take down these monuments, we try to change things up, there's going to be some court litigation. So what she's referring to is in that historical place where the first White House was at, there's a wall that tells you all about the ills of slavery. Trump and his regime didn't want that there. It took litigation, damn near up to the Supreme Court. They took it down, but a court system had to make them put it back up. And then they're taking their time about that. They identified that as, dare I say to use the word, CRT. Not history.
Following President Trump's, quote, restoring truth and sanity to American history executive order, the National Park Service removed a display from a historic site known as the President's House along Independence Mall in Philadelphia. Of course, the President's House was the first White House, it was for George Washington. The exhibit describes the lives of 9 enslaved men and women who lived in one of the homes George Washington occupied.
Yeah, we can't mess George Washington's name up like that. You know, he never told a lie, and he chopped down that cherry tree that belonged to his dad, and he couldn't lie about it. Same motherfucker that had slaves. Father of your country had slaves too, and y'all don't even want to know. Y'all want us to know about George Washington, but y'all don't want us to know about the people he kept in bondage. That's considered CRT. We'll only go through a little bit more.
President. Philadelphia sued the federal government over the exhibit's removal in February and initially won. But earlier this month, an appeals court panel of 3 judges unanimously sided with the federal government, saying Philadelphia has no authority over a federally owned site. The Department of Interior has proposed a new exhibit that would contain fewer references to enslaved people and place less emphasis on George Washington's history as an enslaver. Philadelphia Mayor Parker has vowed to continue pursuing legal avenues to reverse the decision. It's unclear what might appear at the president's house site on the July 4th weekend when the city's expecting a rush of tourists. Since the exhibit's removal, however, volunteers in Philadelphia have been standing at the site and sharing the original text that was removed from the exhibit with visiting tourists. It's like they're...
And that's all you can do, folks. That's why I say black people are resilient. We really are. If you stop us from doing something, we're going to find a way to do it another way. We are a resilient group of people. We always have been, and we always will be. Even in the face of adversity, even when they try to wipe us off the map as far as American history is concerned. Well, whether you like it or not, America, we are. Black people are. We are American history. We always will be American history. From the Dr. James Baldwin to the Muhammad Ali's to the DJ Musics, we are American history. And this is why I do what I do, because one day somebody might look, after I'm long gone, somebody might look at this stream and say, damn, this was going on in 2026. I'll call your attention back to that young black woman sitting in that rail car right now, surrounded by folks that she know that don't like her. But you know what the write-up was about this young lady? It's not that these white supremacists took over this train. They went and found whatever criminal record they could dig up on her. Sound familiar? For her being on the train that day, when these Proud Boys and these insurrectionists and all these other folks, these patriot folks, when they decided to get on the train, her punishment was for somebody, because she happened to be there, to go dig up her past. Couldn't do that to none of these cowards. Why? Because they got a mask on. So let's change, let's make her the villain here. Let's go back and dig up something she might have done wrong. Well, that's what Stephen Miller did. That entire Stephen Baker, whatever. I don't know why I want to say Stephen Miller or Stephen Baker. There must be a Stephen Miller in my past or Stephen Baker in my past somewhere, because I keep using those words. So again, look on the left side of the screen. This is what I mean by y'all told us you were going to be better than your grandparents. On the left side of the screen is your grandparents. Can see that little girl right there? That's one of y'all's mamas now. These folks on this train, that's one of y'all's mamas. That little girl right there, that's one of y'all's mamas. One of your aunties that was out there holding up them signs saying, hell no, we don't want them black folks in our schools. Or maybe one of your uncles or your aunties is right here holding this rebel flag sign here, trying to tell black people that's part of our heritage. Okay, the same way it's part of your heritage, and you want to be proud of it. For our heritage, that means all hell, don't go down that road. All hell, don't turn around in that driveway. All hell, don't go into that store, because the first thing you see is a rebel flag, they might spit in your drink. They might slap a fly and put it in your burger. They might stick their hand in the cookie jar after freshly scratching their ass and hand it to you in a brown paper bag. I grew up in the South, folks. Everything that I just told you was an actual event in either my life or one of my siblings' life. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to get out of here. I want to thank everyone so very much for hanging out here with me. Again, I needed this distraction. I want to say, for the record, and just for my own record, for those who don't know, I lost one of my siblings this weekend. So this was a welcome relief to get away from the hustle and bustle of what's going on around me, and the back and forth. And one thing, it must have been my brother that brought this to my attention. Man, if you got a voice, you got to use it. If you can talk loud enough to where people can hear you, you got to use your voice, Stevie. Although me and my brother, we were at odds from time to time about some things, but I am who I am because of him, because of my elder siblings that went through this. That was young teenagers in the 70s that integrated the schools. Well, thank you, El Boogie. It's always a pleasure having you here, but I'm about to end this right here pretty soon, just in a few more minutes. So again, thank you. And for all of you folks that stopped in, Just As Shar, Sandy, of course, El Boogie, Sock Passe, ABT, Big J, Mandy. Who else we got up off of here? Even the trolls. Thank y'all for coming in, because y'all, you know what you did when you came in here, you gave my little stream some light. In your haste to be nasty to me, maybe you might have said, you know what, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. My brother that's from Israel, thank you so very much. I can't read your name because I don't know how to read your language, but thank you so very much for your commentary. Michael Knight, thank you. OG Kicks, thank you very much. Danny, thank you so very much. Who else we had up off? And I'm just scrolling through. Black and Proud, always a pleasure, my man. Let's see what else we had up in here. I go through Mandy. Again, thank you, Jay Blue. I'm just scrolling through. I want to acknowledge everybody because you folks are part of my history as well. So Richie Rich, thank you. And my man, let me see who else we got up in here. Let's see. Logical Assessment, thank you very much, my man. Like I said, anytime you want to set up something where we can have some commentary about something, just my email is in my description, or it's on my community tab wall there. Drop me an email about the commentary or the source so I can do my research on it, because I always like to come in at least having an idea of what I'm talking about. So again, folks, thank y'all so very much. Again, DTL, rest in peace, good brother. We'll miss you, but I'll keep doing what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? So y'all have a good day. Watch your 3, your 6, your 9. Remember, grace of the day costs you absolutely nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello to someone, might change the way they're thinking, might change the way they're living. You never know. You walk past them. Don't say hello. Till then, we out.
Look, all you motherfuckers been snitching for him and shit. Well, now you standing up in here and goddamn it talking about preach it, preacher, preach it, preacher. Fuck that nigga. Fuck that. I'm gonna shoot your ass too, motherfucker. Keep on. You gonna get shot too, nigga. You gonna get shot. God bless the fool, goddamn it. God bless the fool. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm gonna end this goddamn thing. Look, where's that goddamn money bowl at? Who got that money bowl? We taking that money right now before you leave this bitch. We ain't leaving out here for free, motherfucker. Yeah. Y'all know the motherfucker ain't no good. You want, look,